Hokage Starting from the Instant Full Level, Chapter 341 to 360. Chapter 341, No Eyes. Exclamations sounded one after another, and when Otsutsuki Yuyuki was shocked, she hurriedly took out a mirror with her backhand. After seeing the reflection in the mirror, the pair of blue eyes as deep as the sea, his face was full of disbelief. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Otsutsuki Yuyuki would never have believed that all this was true. You helped me. Otsutsuki Yuyuki barely suppressed the excitement in her heart, looking at this young man who was shrouded in mystery from beginning to end. When the people present heard the words, their nerves were also tense. Some people may have misunderstood just now, opening Tenseigen was due to the ability of Yuyuki Otsutsuki. But the words of this questioning fell, and instantly let them know clearly that all this was probably related to this young man. Although, I knew early on, this son-in-law is not easy, but being able to open a Tenseigen to someone at will, this ability is not even their ancestors can do. Hehe, as your man, how can you hold the beauty back without giving you any favors? Rubbed Yushui Otsutsuki's head unscrupulously, and said, however, this requires your bloodline to be pure enough to be able to do it. I also guided one or two a little bit. As for other people, the bloodline can't reach it. Speaking of which, those clansmen who were originally fiery were instantly poured a basin of cold water on their heads. After all, in the face of such powers that claim to be able to destroy the world and reshape the cycle of reincarnation, no one wants to get it. Can't your hands be more secure? Otsutsuki Yu Shuechong wrinkled her nose, but she did not avoid Long Yu's offense. There isn't a woman who doesn't like sugar-coated shells. More, as soon as Long Yu made a move, he helped her open Tenseigen, and these methods made Yushui Otsutsuki feel an inexplicable feeling in her heart. It was as if the helpless heart had found a trace of support for a long time. However, this strange thought had just sprouted in his mind, and Yuyuki Otsutsuki's cheeks flushed slightly, and he hurriedly threw these thoughts out of his mind. Facing the mysterious young man in front of her, she was eager to find out his origin and purpose. You're leaving, it's better to stay for one night. Otsutsuki Yuyuki said these words hesitantly. However, when these words came out, it was like a stone that stirred up 1,000 waves. After all, staying one night is too much information. Cough. We should go to the branch tonight to get together and get together. After all, there are such big differences this time, and we need to correct them in time. The elder is right, the guard of the castle. Cut, what kind of guards do you need? Those are puppets, and by that time, there will be no one in the castle. Yes, it seems to be quieter when no one is there. A group of members of the family immediately winked and started talking. Otsutsuki Yuyuki was unmanned, but she couldn't hear what Han meant. Hehe, it seems that I don't want to stay for one night, but if I let you down, I'll be chatting tonight. Long Yu smiled warmly. These words fell, Datongmu Yushui's cheeks flushed and her red lips slightly opened. She was about to say something, but was interrupted by the echoing voices around her. Looking at the one-sided situation, Datongmu Yushui gave Long Yu a stern look, and was about to turn around to leave when Long Yu stopped him. By the way, in your branch, there should be a baby who is about to be born, or has been born, but has no eyes. If you find it, come and see me. Long Yu remembered the big Tongmu Sharon in the original book. I have to say, this guy is lonely. The young man, the strength and means he possesses are indeed extraordinary. If left alone, and may add to the trouble. He obtained Tenseigen in the branch of the great Tongmu family. For Long Yu, karma is still very important. Baby without eyes. Main family of Datongmu, even Datongmu Yushui couldn't help but froze in place. As a descendant of Datongmu Yuya, it may be difficult to open Tenseigen, but having white eyes is a standard for clansmen. Now, let alone white-eyed clansmen who don't even have eyes. This is beyond their expectations. However, this idea had just emerged, and Datongmu Yuyu, who was originally the leader of the Troubles as a branch family, was stunned at first, and then rushed out rolling and crawling. In front of everyone's eyes, he knelt on Long Yu's body and kowtowed frantically. My lord, you are as good as you can imagine. I hope you can rescue my son Sharon. He was born without eyes, and the eyes of other clansmen can't be equipped either. The unexpected action made the Datongmu family and even Datongmu Yushui startled. They finally understood why Datongmu Yuyu suddenly attacked the family. After all, it is an unfortunate curse to give birth to an offspring that does not even have white eyes. Once it really spreads, I am afraid that it will be isolated and looked down upon by the clansmen. It seems that your efforts are just right, otherwise I'm one step too late, and I'm afraid I'd already leave. Long Yu smiled and patted Datongmu Yuyu on the shoulder. If he and his mother-in-law were lazy once, I'm afraid he really didn't have time to create a big paulownia tree. At that time, once Long Yu left, he would have to make another shot, but it was impossible. Listening to these inexplicable words, Datongmu Yushui blushed and stomped on Long Yu's feet. Seeing Long Yu's unconcerned look, he couldn't help but pouted. This little woman's posture, falling in the eyes of everyone, obviously gave people an unexpected feeling. After all, in their eyes, the princess who has always supported the entire Datongmu family, but she is a high-cold person. They do now is completely beyond their comprehension. However, as soon as this thought appeared, he was attracted by the azure blue light in Long Yu's hand. It's Tenseigan again. The huge situation suddenly became dead silence, only the rest gradually became the sound of heavy breathing. Facing it, a pair of blue eyes, as deep as the sea, were easily taken out. For the Paulownia clan, it was a sweet pastry. Who would believe it if you didn't see it with your own eyes? The legendary Tenseigan, in the hands of the young man in front of him, was like a cabbage, and he took it out. You guys, don't think too much. Long Yu looked around, of course he could see the greed of many people. In the prophecy, the child has the physique to barely control the Tenseigan, and this pair of eyes is also specially made by him as a blueprint. If any of you are interested in these pair of eyes, I don't think they have used them yet. It will explode with the power of these eyes. Furthermore, the power that this pair of eyes can exert will only be unsealed according to his state of mind. It may only be a pair of ordinary eyes, or it may destroy the world, change life and death, and all depends on personal opportunities. The slightly elusive voice, as if infused with a magic sound, hits the depths of one's soul. Originally, many people were shocked when they saw this pair of eyes, and a trace of greed was indeed born. Chapter 342, Villain Book. However, the greed that was just born at the moment was instantly defeated. You, why don't you thank me quickly? Datongmu Yushui was the first to speak. Datongmu Yuyu hurriedly recovered, took the eyes quickly, and kowtowed. Thank you, my lord, if something happens in the future, Yuyu will definitely go through fire and water. Okay, if there is something I can't solve, you will die if you go, so step back first, I still have things to deal with. Looking at the excessive enthusiasm, Long Yu could almost melt his crowd with his fiery eyes, and waved his hand helplessly. Yes, we are all in the way, leave quickly. As soon as Datongmu Yuyu took his eyes, he suddenly regained his energy and hurriedly shouted. However, this expulsion order obviously misunderstood everyone in the field. Everyone, after showing their natural expressions, abandoned their respected princess and left. A few good-hearted women even secretly gave Datongmu Yushui a few small books, and left with a snicker. In just a few tens of seconds, the huge courtyard became obviously empty, and there was not even the slightest human voice. Of this departure is simply not too agile. Looking at this scene, Long Yu reluctantly touched the tip of his nose. This misunderstanding was too big. However, since he couldn't explain it, he didn't bother to explain it, so he looked back at Yushui Datongmu, which immediately made her feel like an electric shock. The muscles all over my body tightened, and my cheeks suddenly turned red. I took a half step back subconsciously, and hurriedly said, You, don't come here, we are just acting. Although you are very powerful, if you are tough, I will call you. Calling Long Yu a helpless glance, he said, "Before calling, you should pick up the little book that your aunt gave you, and pick it up, that pose is actually quite handsome." Xiaoranshu de Tongmu Yushui couldn't help but stunned, followed Long Yu's line of sight and looked down. The entry picture is simply not too beautiful. What lotus sitting, what digital form, etc. When de Tongmu Yushui's cheeks were flushed, her blood rushed to her brain, and she almost fainted happily. Waved his hands again and said, "No, I don't mean that, I'm still young, I don't need it for the time being." Yushui like a frightened bird, Long Yu stepped forward, crossed the space, and appeared in front of the big Polonia Yushui. When her nerve strings were almost broken, the probe hand gently rubbed her head. "Don't worry, a gentleman doesn't force others to be difficult. Although I'm not a gentleman, I won't force you to do things." Long Yu said with a smile, "However, you look pretty, if I have enough time, I might chase you." Rogue. De Tongmu Yushui was stunned at first, but after hearing the praise from Long Yu, she couldn't help but muttered with a blushing face. However, soon he couldn't hold back and said, "You didn't say enough." "What do you mean? I don't mean to let you pursue me, I just feel that you have a lot of reluctance." "Lots of regrets." Long Yu couldn't help but fell into a brief silence. To this world, the time is not short, but after so many things, to go to nothing, to dominate this world. For Long Yu, it was indeed a bit sad. However, after combining the power of Tenseigen just now, Long Yu understood that he was an episode in this world. And, he will leave. There will be reluctance to part, but leaving is also Long Yu's wish. "Do you have something to hide? Maybe you can tell me." De Tongmu Yushui couldn't help but say. After all, in her circle, the so-called clansmen were nothing compared to the young man in front of them. "Nothing." Long Yu shook his head, dispelling the thoughts in his heart and said, "However, I hope you can go to Earth instead of me. If you can, your clansmen, perhaps, don't need to stay in this lonely moon. Let's go to Earth." De Tongmu Yushui's expression froze, and said, "However, our family's responsibility is to guard the sealed outsider golem." "Hehe, you also said that it is an outsider golem. This thing has been sealed in my body. In this scroll, there is something that I want to transfer to Konoha Ninja Village. When we meet, you can transfer it. If you don't stay on Earth, you decide for yourself, and I will guide you to use Tenseigen." Long Yu took out a scroll and handed it to Yuyuki Atamu, and at the same time started to instruct her on the use of Tenseigen. After all, he helped de Tongmu Yushui to open Tenseigen, but he couldn't make her pupil technique reach full level instantly. After half a day, Long Yu sent away de Tongmu Yushui, and while secretly relieved, his eyes instantly sharpened. A robe goes down automatically without wind, the left eye reincarnates, and the right eye reincarnates, the moment when the two turn in vain. A huge tidal force surged out. Two forces of reincarnation suddenly gathered together, they shrouded Long Yu head-on. Agitation of space fluctuations, it turned into a vortex and directly swallowed people. "Long Yu, where have you been?" De Tongmu Yushui hurriedly returned, the ray of light from the tensai eye pattern on his body surging, the tyrannical breath bloomed, and the speed was maximized. However, everything that entered the target, there was no trace of Long Yu, and the traces of activities, at this moment, seemed to be erased. If not, there are still memories with Long Yu in my mind. I am afraid that de Tongmu Yushui will think that all this is just a dream. Earth, Konoha Ninja Village. After the Fourth Ninja World War, which was a little funny and ended 3 days ago, Konoha Ninja Village not only did not restore its usual tranquility, but became more and more lively. A gigantic rock statue that rises above Naruto Rock. The well-defined cheeks, and a pair of 9 God Jade reincarnation eyes, made this special statue's identity ready to reveal itself. King. It is known as the Zeon jointly launched by the 5 ninja villages, the highest decision-maker 5 shadows, and it is also a symbol of strength. Of course, if Long Yu knew about it, he would probably vomit 3 liters of blood first and feel the pain in the egg. However, with the spread of the world-shattering war 3 days ago, it changed from behind the scenes to a savior who endured humiliation and led out visitors from outside the sky. The huge ups and downs of the identity change, and the shocking, godlike war, made those who heard it even more amazed. The viewers were shocked. Some of the first batch of videos of the battle were released and recorded, and as soon as they were released, they immediately grabbed the goods. Those who can get the first-hand battle video are either lucky European emperors or local tyrants. With the spread of the record, those who had prejudice against the Uchiha clan all dispelled their grievances. Every time I pass by the statue of the actor, I will stop and watch it. However, with the end of the Fourth Ninja World War, after being warned by the first Hokage, the first alliance meeting jointly held by the 5 major ninja villages was also put on the agenda. Chapter 343, The Outsider. The Dome Arena, which was damaged by the rebellion of Dragon Feather in the past, has once again become the venue for the meeting of the 5 shadows. The main purpose of this meeting was to elect Long Yu as the best actor, so the current venue, the ninjas who had been inquired by the 5 major ninja villages, was blocked. After all, in the face of this godlike existence, no one is willing to give up the opportunity to take a glimpse. 3 generations of Hokage, Yu Konoha are outstanding this time. Ping Onogi was the first to speak for 2 days, and there was a hint of sourness in his words. However, there is no way, who made Uchiha Ryu come from Konoha Shinobi Village. 3 generations of Hokage wanted to set the Shadow Emperor Rock in the Konoha Ninja Village, and this shameless thing has become a matter of course. Hehe, Onogi, you are serious. When we selected the best actor, Long Yu not only belongs to our Konoha Ninja Village, but also the actor of the entire ninja world. 3 Hokage laughed dryly and said. However, the mouth said so, but his face was still full of pride. That expression, if it wasn't for the occasion, I'm afraid the rest of the 4 shadows would have already violently beaten his old bones. HMPH, 3 generations of Hokage, let's not entangle with this kind of thing. The 4th generation Raikage snorted coldly and said first. This time, we are here to witness the alliance agreement between our 5 major ninja villages, and invite him to be the first generation actor, but where is he now? Now, didn't you say that you were responsible for contacting? These words fell, everyone's eyes fell on the vacant first place on the conference table. Even the Namikaze Minato standing behind the 3rd Hokage is no exception. 3 days ago, when the war came to an end, Long Yu disappeared without a trace. Later, they also tried to contact through the Shao organization, but in the end it was nothing. Faced with the questioning of the 4th Raikage, when the 3rd Hokage hesitated to speak, a huge spatial fluctuation rolled back without warning. Who? Namikaze Minato was the first to exclaim. As a shadow-level ninja proficient in time and space ninjutsu, he was the first to be alerted. Hurriedly followed the spatial fluctuations, and the thin figure that appeared suddenly landed in front of Shadow Emperor Rock. The familiar white robe and veil hood instantly tightened everyone's nerves. It's someone from outside the sky, why are they here again? I don't know who exclaimed, and in an instant, like a depth bomb, a stone stirred up 1,000 waves. The uninvited guest in front of them, as well as the familiar clothes, and the tyrannical atmosphere, instantly tensed their nerves. Are you 5 shadows? The ethereal voice spread in vain, as if it was filled with magical sounds. It echoed in the heaven and the earth for a long time, and there was no way to disperse. Before they could answer, Datangmu Yushui Duo glanced at the Shadow Emperor Rock, then suddenly turned around and looked down. A pair of pale eyes, the light in the eyes suddenly condensed, and the deep blue color like the sea quickly spread and opened. The tyrannical aura, like a beast gradually awakening, made the faces of the people in the field, Zuli, suddenly change drastically. This is not the eye of reincarnation. The tailed beast in the body actually has the idea of spread. This alien visitor is not simple. Kurabi couldn't hold back his exclamation. 4th Hokage's expression sank, and he said, 3rd Hokage, have you contacted Long Yu? I didn't expect them to come to you so quickly. These words fell, everyone's eyes locked on the three. On Hokage's body. Facing the pair of eyes in front of them, the extremely strange eyes and the tyrannical breath that permeated the air made their minds tense. Not yet. A hint of hesitation on the face of the three generations of Hokage, and finally he gritted his teeth and said, however, don't worry, with Long Yu's strength, he doesn't care. Where? We must be able to perceive this huge aura coming. What we need to do now is to buy time and wait for his arrival. Yes, even if Long Yu is not there, as long as we work together well, we will be able to protect the ninja world. She is only one person, and we have 5 major ninja villages. Namikaze Minato was the first to speak and agree. However, his gaze couldn't help but glance at the absent-minded Whirlpool Kushina. Since Long Yu is not here, this is a good opportunity for him to perform. However, as soon as these words fell, the sound of words floating from the sky instantly tense everyone's nerves. You mean to protect the ninja world? Datongmu Yushui's eyes turned in vain, and at the moment when he locked on Minato Namikaze, he said, I just want to try it out. What is your strength? Tensimus mode. Om. The awe-inspiring words spit out, and there was a slight vibration in the air. Under the sudden condensation of Tenseiken, the tyrannical pupil power directly detonated like a frenzy, turning into a 12-level hurricane, sweeping the entire venue. Light blue rays of light shone through the body, 7 light balls quickly emerged behind the Paulownia Yushui. Without any bells and whistles, slender hands moved towards Minato, the cold voice, even more so. It's spit out. The golden wheel is reborn. The simple 5-character spit out, the air circulating around. When there is a stagnation, the endless golden light madly gathers and compresses in the palm of the hand. The next moment, in the eyes of the public, it exploded in an instant. The golden wheel is reborn. The cold voice was not mixed with a trace of emotion. The violent golden light, at the moment of convergence, turned into a frenzy and exploded directly. Golden light pierced through the space like a sharp arrow, and appeared in front of the 5 shadows in an instant. Agree, he shoots. The violent scene made everyone's pupils shrink at the moment. The face of Namikaze Minato, who had just boasted about Heiko, suddenly changed dramatically, and before he had time to think about it, he threw out 3 Fei Lei Shenkui in the shape of a character. Without a rear, his hands flew up quickly like wheels. Waiting for the last magic seal to fall, Minato Namikaze didn't have time to think about it, and roared in anger. Flying Thunder God Barrier. Bang! The crack in the space opened instantly, and the violent golden light penetrated directly. Stern and unparalleled posture and the gust of wind it brought up made the exposed skin feel like being cut by a knife. However, seeing the attack being blocked, the 5 shadows' faces showed joy, and hot blood spurted out of Minato Namikaze's mouth. Nagato. 3 generations of Hokage's expressions changed drastically, and they were the first to shout. However, before they could react, 3 explosions suddenly sounded. Bang! The 3 flying thunder gods, Kanai, as the space formation base, shattered and opened directly. Of the golden wheel's rebirth clearly exceeded the speed of the flying thunder god's enchantment. Overwhelmed in an instant, a cobweb-like sound burst open. Losing the barrier of the flying thunder god barrier, the remaining golden light poured down towards the 5 shadows like a frenzy. Chapter 344, Fiancé. At this moment, the scene reflected in the pupils gave them a feeling like death was urging them to die. It's obviously too late to start defending. Om! The vibrating sound of the air suddenly sounded, and the golden light filled the pupils, and there was a stagnation. The next moment, as if being pulled by an invisible force, at a tricky angle, he suddenly turned back and hit the mountain outside Konoha Ninja Village. The sudden change made people's expressions stagnate, and before they could react, a shocking explosion sounded like thunder. The violent air wave turned into a 15-level hurricane and rolled back in the distance, and even the ceiling barrier of Konoha Ninja Village was penetrated in an instant. After more than 10 seconds, the wind and sand in the sky dissipated, and the sky and the earth returned to the bright moment. Everyone followed the direction they were looking at, where the golden wheel exploded and landed, where there were still 5 mountains. A single blow, 5 large mountains were razed to the ground. This kind of strength, compared with the battle between Long Yu and the visitors from outside the sky 3 days ago, did not give way at all. If the blow just now really fell on this venue, waiting for them, not only will they die, the entire Konoha ninja village will be destroyed in an instant. It's the actor, it must be the actor Long Yu who saved us. Yes, it must be the actor, only he can fight against the aliens. We are saved, Lord Long Yu is here to save us. I don't know who exclaimed, causing tens of thousands of people in the field to suddenly cheer. In their eyes, even the 4th Hokage wave Feng Minato could not resist the attack. Who can do it is Uchiha Ryu, who became the first-generation actor. However, in the face of the cheers, Wang's face suddenly turned gloomy, suddenly looked up at Yushui Datongmu in the sky, and said, "Why, at the last moment, you changed the path of the attack, are you planning to force Long Yu to come out?" As soon as these words came out, thousands of waves were aroused. The expressions of the cheering crowd suddenly stiffened. At this juncture, the 5 shadows seem to be useless, but they know clearly that the 5 shadows will not choose to make jokes at this time. Who changed the attack trajectory just now was not Long Yu, but the uninvited guest in front of him. However, in the face of this questioning, Datongmu Yushui's eyes turned in vain, fell on Minato Namaifeng, and snorted, "HMPH, not anyone can replace Long Yu, next time I will do it again. If you are rude, be careful, I will kill you. However, don't worry, I am here this time because I was commissioned by Uchiha Ryu to bring something for you. Also, this rock statue is so ugly." The inexplicable speech made people stunned. However, when he saw the blue light of Yuyuki Datongmu and swept away the blue light from the scroll with his backhand, Uzumaki Kushina was the first to lose his breath and exclaimed anxiously, "Excuse me, where is Long Yu? Are you a fiancé?" When the fiancé said this, it shook everyone's nerves. However, looking at the big Tongmu Yushui, he showed his powerful attacking method with every gesture. There is also a Tenseigen mode that is exactly like the 6 Paths mode, and the strength beyond ordinary people's expectations, but it makes people feel that they can't refute. Of Yushui Datongmu could not help but stiffen in the air. Back and looking down, after looking around the huge venue, looking at the crowd, the pretty faces with a slightly urgent look. Ice on his cold cheeks, he couldn't help but smile, as if Haruyuki met the warm sun, giving people a feeling of inexplicable warmth. He is a thief and a heartbreaker. It seems that my vision is not bad. Datongmu Yushui shook his head with a smile, and said, "I'm looking for him too, but he shouldn't be in this world. He may have gone to the sky, or he may have crossed the dimension. However, I believe he will come back." "He's gone." Uzumaki Kushina couldn't help but froze in place. No, it should be said, no matter what. Was Uzumaki Kushina, or Samui, or even Nohara Rin, anyone who had anything to do with Long Yu also lost their minds. At this moment, there was only one feeling in their hearts, just as Yushui Datongmu said. He is a heartless man. To be able to live up to the Tathagata and live up to the Emperor, you can only pass through the thousands of flowers, a leaf does not touch your body. Feeling that the atmosphere in the field has changed suddenly, the ninjas of various villages mixed in the crowd suddenly have type, the feeling of the era's crush on a big rollover. Regardless of, you are from the 5 great ninja village, what kind of young talent, in front of Uchiha Longyu, it is obvious that Yingwo and Haoyu are fighting for glory. Excuse me, what exactly is in this scroll? 3rd Hokage took over the scroll and took the lead in breaking the silence in the field. I don't know either. Datongmu Yushui said lightly, however, when he is not here, the earth will be guarded by me. No matter what. How many of you love him deeply, but his fiancé is only me. My name is Yushui Datongmu, the woman who inherited his will. If you have any objection, you can let it go. Tick, tick. In the dark prison, there is something. an inexplicable biting cold wind strikes. On the outside we're in the extreme cold and we're hung upside down by the ice picks. Curled up in a corner, wearing a black and white striped prisoner suit, twitched slightly. Hey, what's the origin of this little devil on the other side, to be imprisoned in the 5th floor of the extreme cold hell? It can't be because the Navy is incompetent, and the sea outside is full of little devils with a reward of over 100 million. Haha, I think, this small body, let alone fighting, even donating a backyard flower and tossing it with us alone can't do it. Prisoners with special hobbies may be blessed. The unbearable talk made the entire corridor become boiling. Suddenly, 2 scarlet colors suddenly lit up in the darkness, like bright lights in the darkness, immediately attracting the attention of many people. The huge corridor fell into a dead silence all of a sudden. However, before they could react, the Jugo Jade writing wheel suddenly turned, and a pitch-black flame surged like a frenzy over the rude prisoner. Fire! Fire! My body is on fire! A fish man was the first to exclaim. However, in the face of this scene, many prisoners did not take it to heart at all, gave them a casual glance, and said disdainfully, "It's on fire. Could it be that you've been on fire recently, and there's a fire in the backyard? There's so much ice and snow here, you can just roll around. It can be extinguished, what a fuss." However, just after these words fell, the screams from all around sounded one after another. No, what kind of fire is this? Why can't it be put out? Don't come here, don't stain us with fire. Chapter 345 The Black Flame is Gone. Come on, help, open the floodgates to save us. A shrill scream echoed in the huge corridor. The prisoner, who didn't care about Heian at all, was instantly confused. At the same time, advanced to the monitoring room of the city. Countless surveillance phone bugs, the projected screen, instantly jumped to the 5th floor, inside the extremely cold hell. Endless black flames scurrying around, and the prisoner's miserable cry for help, alarmed the entire monitoring room. Hurry up and inform Prison Magellan. Those with the ability to fruit have escaped in the 5th floor of the extremely cold hell. Please go to support as soon as possible. One of the jailers was the first to hold back. Advance the city's underwater prison, which is divided into 6 floors in total. Being able to be imprisoned in the 5th layer of the extremely cold hell, at least there is a reward of over 100 million, and some of them are fruit capable. That spread throughout the entire video surveillance area clearly made the prison guards preconceived. Faced with this scene, Hannibal, who was hiding behind the gate, couldn't help but laugh mischievously. It's a rare and lively event. As long as Magellan is a little dereliction of duty, the position of warden will belong to me. When these words fell, the jailers looked embarrassed and couldn't help saying, "Head wardens, you have revealed your ambitions again." With that, an urgent announcement was passed on. The door of the 5th floor was kicked open, and Magellan, with a gloomy face, was shrugging his pants and walking slowly with a roll of tissues. In the crotch, the green venom that tick-tick fell, directly corroded the floor into a big pit. Some prisoners who had not been affected by the black flames, watching this scene, immediately covered their mouths. They had already guessed that Magellan might have another stomach upset. And at the critical moment, it was clearly disrupted. I can't say it well, I'm pulling my pants now. Warden Magellan, help. A prisoner stained with black flames grabbed the iron guardrail and hurriedly asked for help. However, before the words were finished, Magellan's face was full of anger, and he reached out and grabbed his cheek directly. Endless venom, like a frenzy, rushed out of his body quickly. Shut up. The simple 4 characters roared out, and the anger of being disturbed was clearly mixed with the words. However, in the next moment, Magellan's expression froze, and soon he saw the venom that gushed out, volatilized like water, and turned into steam. That were originally covered by venom surged up in an instant, and spread rapidly towards his body. The violent scene made Magellan's expression change slightly, and the venom on his body flew and covered it up again. After trying 3 or 4 times, the black flame was finally annihilated. As for that The prisoner covered in venom has already been corroded by the venom to the point that there are no bones left. Looking at this scene, Magellan's face was gloomy to the extreme, and he looked back at the prisons around him. With this delay, those covered by the black flames had already turned to ashes. The remaining black flame, like a ghost, disappeared out of thin air. The strange scene made Magellan's face even gloomier. As a model of this prison. But remember clearly how many prisoners there are on each floor and what level of strength they possess. And what means of fighting. However, in the face of this sudden black flame, no one in the 5th floor could have it. Could it be that someone has hidden the means, but this is unscientific. They will all be voted. Entering the advanced city, who would be foolish enough not to try desperately, and still hide his tricks? When he thought of this, Magellan frowned even more tightly, strode like a shooting star, and walked towards the end of the corridor on the 5th floor. He glanced at the prisoners along the way, and recalled his name, abilities and deeds. Prison number 530, prisoner. Magellan suddenly stopped and looked at the thin body in the prison, and couldn't help but froze in place. In his memory, he could not find any information that matched the prisoner in front of him. Thinking about it, it seems that there is only one name that vaguely comes to mind. Uchiha Ryu. Magellan spoke suddenly. A pair of eyes, like torches, locked on the young man in front of him. Strength is unknown, the ability is unknown, the reward is unknown, and the deeds are unknown. All of this gives Magellan the feeling that it is like a prisoner who has erased all traces of existence, leaving only his name. However, facing this call, the thin figure curled up in the corner was as motionless as a dead person. If not, in the domineering perception of seeing and hearing, you can clearly perceive that the boy in front of him is still breathing. I'm afraid Magellan would suspect it was a corpse. Gollum, I'm Hannibal, the Great Warden. Magellan, please reply if you hear me. The voice of the phone bug rang suddenly. Facing Hannibal's undisguised ambition, Magellan obviously didn't take it to heart. He answered the phone and said, the black flame has disappeared, and the number of prisoners who died is unknown. You can ask someone to count them. I'm going to find one. Man, see if you can get something out of it and disappear. How many people died when the black flame disappeared? Magellan, this is your dereliction of duty. Hannibal was stunned for a moment, then exclaimed excitedly. It felt as if he was getting closer and closer to the position of the warden. However, in the face of all this, Magellan didn't take it to heart. After looking at the teenager in the prison, he quickly walked to the 6th floor. Compared with him, there is another person who is more familiar with this prison. Facing the prisoner whose everything seemed unknown, and the black flame that suddenly appeared, Magellan felt a little more uncomfortable in his heart. Following Magellan's departure, Long Yu, who was curled up in the corner, moved slightly, then sat up straight, looked at the figure that had sunk into the end of the corridor, and breathed a sigh of relief. I finally left, but I didn't expect that I would come here after I left Naruto World. There was a hint of helplessness on Long Yu's face. When Hokage was in Hokage, it coincided with the Third Ninja World War. At that time, he was still a free body. Now it's alright, as soon as he comes to this world, he will be wearing a red, white and blue prison uniform as standard, and he will be trapped in the world of One Piece. This opening spree is too big a joke. However, the first thing that Long Yu had to figure out now was the situation of the system. Use the kaleidoscope writing wheel just now. Why did it suddenly fire intermittently? Ding dong, welcome the host to enter the world template for the first time. Currently has a character template, Naruto World 6 Path Mode, and a template character. Template state, does not fit the current world. You need to obtain world turmoil points and unlock restrictions. The current turmoil point is 3 inches. A series of ethereal voices from the system echoed in the sea of consciousness, and Long Yu was immediately stunned. This means that if the tuba is banned, if you want to practice the trumpet, Filu reminds you. 3 things to read. Watch the latest chapter. Baidu search 99 playmates, find 99 novels and LT. Please keep this paragraph for collection. otherwise collection will be banned IP, and GT. Chapter 346, Ains Gown. Now that they are poor and white, not to mention leaving in the advanced city, I am afraid that it is a problem to survive. When I think of those prisoners with special hobbies, this is a chrysanthemum. As soon as I get tight, I can't hold my breath. System, I don't play anymore, I want to go home. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for getting the dimensional template gift package, immediately. Open to get any dimensional template randomly. The host can unlock the body's ability through the world's turmoil. A sudden sentence makes people feel that the customer service has retained the old players of Krypton Gold. Before long you could react, 3 cards with their backs facing each other appeared in the consciousness space. Host, please make a choice within 30 seconds, otherwise it will be permanently closed, and the host will also exit this dimensional world. The system's urging voice made Long Yu's brows rise involuntarily. There are obviously 2 paths given by the system at the moment. Once you choose a new template, continue to practice the trumpet, and retrieve the password of the large 2-2, send you home faced with this simple and straightforward choice. Long Yu hesitated for a while, but chose the first one. Now that everything is here, with the system, he doesn't believe that he will die. Moreover, in Long Yu's eyes, only children will make choices for us adults, of course we want all of them. Show me 3 cards. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, get the character template Ains Gong. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, get the artifact, you must hit the glasses. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, you have obtained the parasitic cloak of the demon world. Of the 3 system prompts made Long Yu stunned. If I remember correctly, this Ains Gong is the Bone King Bone Aocean. It's a full-scale presence as soon as it comes out. The current character template fidelity is 0. The more familiar the host is, the stronger the unlocking power will be. When the host's fidelity reaches 80%, it will gain the full power of the character. When the fidelity exceeds 80%, the power gained will exceed the original character. Along with it, a series of system prompt sounds came out. Long Yu looked at the 3 things floating in front of him, and couldn't help but smile a little more on his face. The Krypton Gold player, the Bone King, and Grandmas can finally escape from prison. At the same time, it is located in the Advanced City Prison, the 6th floor of Infinite Hell. Can be imprisoned here, there is no case, the famous sea pirates, political criminals, etc. Among them, either the death penalty or life imprisonment. Some too ferocious prisoners, even the headquarters and even the world government, deliberately erased the traces of existence in history. It can be said that being able to detain this person is almost a legendary existence. Even the first one to escape from the Push City Grand Prison, known as the Admiral of the Flying Pirates, the legendary Great Pirate Shiki, was also imprisoned here. Hee, Magellan, you are a rare visitor. Since you sent me here, this is the first time you have come to see me. A playful voice rang out from the dimly lit prison. Compared with the connected prisons on the 5th floor, because the number of prisoners that can be detained on the 6th floor is relatively small, and due to the particularity of individuals, each prison will be far apart. And this time, the person Magellan was looking for was the one who was sent to the 6th floor by his own hands not long ago, Shiliu of the Rain, the former deputy warden. Shiliu, this time I came to see you, not to gather old people. Magellan took out a cigar with his backhand and threw it directly into the prison. Browse, but did not refuse. After he took it, his face became more solemn, and said, "It seems that when you advance into the city, there will be things that even you can't control, otherwise you won't be so generous. On this long-lost cigar, say it." Seeing Shiliu light the cigar at will, Magellan didn't go around in circles, saying, "Back then, for your own selfish desires, you not only murdered the prisoners here, but also secretly caught a lot of people in, causing chaos in the Advanced City Prison. At the end, when I counted, there were 520 prisoners who disappeared without a reason. 520, 390 who died, 390, and 17 who were not recorded, but just now, there was a riot on the 5th floor, there was a strange black flame that could not be extinguished, and by the time I rushed there, many prisoners had died, and at the same time, there was one more prisoner who had no record. Having said that, Magellan looked at Shiryu and said, I just remember that the man's name is Uchiha Ryu. He gave me a very dangerous feeling. I want to know if you have anything to do with him. Uchiha Dragon Feather. Shiryu raised his brows, obviously trying his best to scour the memory in his mind, but after a brief pondering, he shook his head and said, this name seems to be a bit of an impression, but I don't know where it came from. However, this name seems to have something to do with the country of Wano. To find out, there is another way to get in touch with the Navy headquarters. Those who can be sent to the advanced city prison are all charged with crimes and rewarded. I think they are there. There will also be records. If possible, I would also like to see what this guy who makes you feel dangerous looks like, or let me out and chop him up. Navy headquarters. Magellan raised his brows, for that troublesome old guy mentally retarded. Shouldn't be said that Zhejiang Buddha's warring states, he still doesn't want to get in touch too much. After all, the old man is getting old, and it is really too long-winded. However, now that, the kid named Uchiha Ryu who suddenly appeared, still made him unable to put his mind at ease. After hesitating for a moment, he still found out, the phone bug that specifically contacts the Navy. Shiryu, who witnessed this scene, also immediately became interested. In his eyes, he really hoped that there would be some trouble that Magellan couldn't solve, and at that time, he might have a chance to leave this ghost place. At the same time, it can also make the long-lost saber drink some fresh blood. This kind of feeling, but thinking about it makes Yu Ziliu excited. At the same time, in the 5th floor, Long Yu, who was imprisoned, still maintained a posture of neither the enemy nor me, until he understood the principle of the system. After more than 10 minutes, Long Yu's tightly closed eyes suddenly opened, and a trace of excitement flashed in the depths of his pupils. According to the interpretation of the system, he can now be divided into ontology, which belongs to the 6 templates in Hokage that are restricted by this world, and a character template similar to the transformation, Bon Aoshin Anzi Ergong. This character template needs to be imitated to unlock the character's strength. But it made Long Yu feel pleasantly surprised that his body belongs to the power of the Naruto world, and conflicts with this world are restricted. He owns is still preserved. Although there have been some changes, the duel system at the start is like a novice village with dual artifacts. In Long Yu's perception, the Bone King is indeed a full-level necromancer in the original book. Sorcerer. Ordinary players have only 130 magic power at full level, but the Bone King is as high as 198, and the magic that can be used is as high as 718. Chapter 347, The Director of the People. It also has a lot of super magic. However, once the mana is exhausted, his agility, melee combat, and defense are all at a medium level. If you can cooperate with the instant full-level system, you can use the power of this world on the Bone King. This may make up for this shortcoming. Thinking of this, Long Yu had a feeling that Yu wanted to try it. Up his mind, Long Yu patted the dust of the red, white and blue prison clothes on his body and looked at the surrounding prisons. If it is said, in the world of One Piece, where is suitable for stealing teachers? In addition to the naval recruit camp, this advanced city prison can definitely be called a place where many talents come out. Can offer a reward of over 100 million, or even hundreds of millions, who has no tricks to stand by. What Long Yu has to do now is to gather everyone's strengths and raise the trumpet's rank. Haha, kid, you finally woke up. I'm worried about boredom, and the buddies here are too busy. I haven't seen the snow-white backyard flowers of a little kid like you for a long time. The words that came out suddenly attracted Long Yu's attention. Looking at the burly, iron tower-like Murloc in the prison opposite, taller than ordinary people, Long Yu couldn't help but raise his brows. In his memory, Murlocs are good at karate and Murloc Jiu-Jitsu. However, the fishman in front of him didn't seem to stand out at all, except for his ugliness. Boy, why don't you talk? Are you scared by the uncles? I advise you to hurry up and kill the uncles, otherwise, when you get anxious, your ass will be spent, but you will be in danger. Heyu is right, none of us have any lives on our shoulders. If you are restless, we can kill you across the prison. Do you want to come and bet? I bet this kid. Within 3 minutes, he was so frightened that he fell on the ground, took off his pants and begged for mercy. In 3 minutes, do you think highly of this kid's small body or underestimate the black fish? I bet for 2 minutes. I bet a minute. The chattering arguments made the corridor on the 5th floor suddenly become lively. Looking at this scene, Long Yu smiled playfully. He hadn't tried this feeling of being despised for a long time. However, this is also just right. In order to completely control the power of the Bone King, he still needs to act in a step-by-step manner. The moment Huo Ran raised his head, he said with a smile, "It seems that everyone here is so idle." The small voice swept the audience like a hurricane at this moment. The huge corridor fell into dead silence in an instant. The next moment, it turned into a roar of laughter. "Ha ha, is this kid crazy? He dares to drag him in front of us, and I will give him an enema with an iron pole with a thick arm in a while. Heyu, this kid seems to be mad at you, why didn't you talk? Hurry up and fuck him." "Heyu, what are you looking at?" The cells in the corridor are facing each other. Except for the dark cell, where you can see Long Yu directly, the other cells are obviously not good. They join in the fun, but they owe their mouths by watching the black fish. More, I don't know anything, and I am making a fuss here. A low-pitched sonic boom resounded suddenly. A pitch-black mist like ink blew out without warning. The scarlet light lit up in the dim cell, and the eyes like phosphorus fire became more and more dazzling. The next moment, a hand with white bones suddenly grabbed the iron pillar guardrail. The black mist that radiated out, after a stagnation appeared, seemed to be attracted and pulled by an invisible force. Instant, it was swallowed up by the whale and swallowed into the huge skeleton. The eyes that were originally like phosphorus fire, at this moment, were like a dazzling lamp in the dark phantom. The entire dim corridor was also dyed scarlet, and suddenly he raised his head, and there was a feeling of extreme excitement in the deep-set skull's eye sockets. Power. Long Yu looked at the big hand of his skeleton. Although the power that has been missing for a long time is not as strong as before, but for him now, it is like a straw caught in drowning. For him with dual systems, this power alone is enough to get started. Skull, this kid has turned into a huge skeleton. Who are you? Who had never spoken, was the first to exclaim in surprise. The pupils constricted, the eye sockets were split open. Looking at the sudden change from a thin boy to a huge skeleton like an iron tower, which is nearly 2 meters tall. If you hadn't seen it with your own eyes, who would believe that this white ass suddenly lost its flesh? You ask me who I am. Long Yu's eyes froze suddenly, his scarlet eyes turned in vain, and at the moment when he locked on Heyu, he spoke sternly. I am Ains Ergen, the supreme unifier of the great underground tomb of Nazarick. Ains Ergen. The awe-inspiring voice of words, at this moment, seemed to be filled with magical sounds, echoing throughout the 5th floor, and there was no way to dissipate it for a long time. At this moment, it shocked everyone. After all, after entering the 5th floor, no matter what is a pirate or a prisoner, it has long been worn away by time and boredom. Who has the confidence to say such domineering words? However, before they could react, a shrill metallic twisting sound echoed in this deadly corridor. The moment everyone followed the sound, they saw 2 big, pale skeleton hands suddenly clenching the specially made iron pillars. Looking at this pair of big white hands, although most of the people couldn't see Long Yu's current face clearly, but when they thought of Heiyu's lost voice and exclaimed just now, they clearly associated them together. This is the devil fruit capable person. In the world of One Piece, all unexplainable phenomena and problems can be related to the devil fruit. In particular, Long Yu has now transformed into the Bone King, in front of this terrifying physique. This is obviously the only explanation. There is no possibility that if he is a devil fruit person, he will not be imprisoned in an ordinary cell at all. The sharp-eyed prisoner was the first to exclaim. Furthermore, the devil fruit person must also wear the Sea Tower Stone, he can't use the devil fruit ability at all. These words fell, everyone's nerve strings were instantly tense. As long as they can see the cell where Long Yu is, everyone's eyes will be locked on the pair of big bones clasping the iron bars. However, after the sound of the metal pulling just now dissipated, the iron guardrail, which was originally slightly bent, became motionless, as if it had become mute. A terrifying gap made many people's expressions stagnate. Is this a bluff? Compared with the people outside, Long Yu is also puzzled. Chapter 348, Quotations from the Bone King. Now his character template is switched, but the level of realism of his acting is zero. The power that can be exerted, in addition to the appearance, can scare people. Mention bending the iron pillar. I am afraid that any prisoner who comes here will be able to bend Long Yu. Ding dong, the Bone King quotations have been successfully activated. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 0% fidelity. Host, Uchiha Ryayu owned character template. Yuba Ryayu 12% second character. Anzer Gong 20%. The current character template is Ainzer Gong, and the ability is being entered. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the characteristic talent and eliminating negative emotions. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the second level flight. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for getting the second level full attribute upgrade. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the second level dragon power. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the second level magic ensemble. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the second level regeneration of the dead. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for getting it. A series of system-raising sounds resounded like a symphony in Long Yu's mind. Ask about awakening 718 kinds of magic in an instant. The feeling is like, if Long Yu is not already mentally prepared for the empowerment in Shenxia novels, I am afraid that he would have been dizzy by this sudden and huge information group. Little careless, I'm afraid I really become an idiot. Percent of the magic power in the body of the heyday, for the current Long Yu, it is enough. Pretending to be halfway through, it is a thunderbolt from the sky, and 5 thunderstorms. Don't say that other people can't stand it, even Long Yu himself is full of fire. Now, just relying on a quote from the pretending king, the fidelity is activated by 20%. This allowed Long Yu to see a broad avenue and looked at it for a while. Long Yu, who was no longer moving, the prisoners present were stunned for a while, and then quickly recovered. Exclaimed just now, obviously feeling that he had lost his face, Heiyu's expression changed from blue to red, and he gritted his teeth and shouted sharply, "You bastard, you can't even bend an iron pole, and you are still pretending here. I wait for a while, I will definitely put this iron pillar in it and give you an enema." The roar of gnashing teeth echoed in the corridor. However, this time, before the other prisoners could talk to him, Long Yu had already withdrawn from the space of consciousness, and the moment he raised his head suddenly, in the deep-set eye sockets, the flickering phosphorus fire gave people a heart-wrenching feeling, and the plain and tidal voice of words swept out and moved people's nerves again. "Oh, are you doubting the name of the great Ainzer Gong? Then let me see where your confidence comes from. Second level agile on. Secondary defense on. Secondary power on. Secondary full attribute upgrade on." The power of the second level dragon opened. Ding, 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 a series of roaring sounds came out from Long Yu's body, and various auxiliary magics lit up like a revolving lantern. The mysterious magic circles turned into protective rays of light and enveloped Long Yu at the moment. The next moment, the illusory dragon bloomed on the surface of the body. The sound of the roaring dragon roared like a thunderburst, and under the huge dragon spreading its wings and soaring, an endless aura of dragon power erupted, sweeping the entire 5th floor. Dragon power, but auxiliary magic, the top enchantment in Power++. The second level dragon power means that Long Yu has the power of double dragons in both arms. When the magic mark was branded on his body, Long Yu was holding Taiju's big bone hand, and his 5 fingers were suddenly clenched tightly, in front of everyone's eyes. Under the gaze, it slowly pulled away to both sides. Kacha was originally indestructible, the special iron pillar as thick as an adult's arm. Under Long Yu's hands, like a piece of paper, it quickly bent. When his hands were torn off with all his might, the entire gate of the prison was overturned, revealing an entrance sufficient for Long Yu to walk out. Bang Senran's skeleton and big feet smashed out, and the huge pale body was in everyone's eyes at this moment. Those deep-set, scarlet eyes like phosphorus fire made all the prisoners' pupils shrink, and they almost split their eye sockets. Facing the changes in everyone's expressions, Long Yu's heart flashed a trace of satisfaction. However, under the elimination of the negative emotions of the talent, it was directly annihilated in the heart. Moment, he can maintain only a mind as high as ice. The fire-like gaze suddenly turned, locked on Heiyu's body, and opened his mouth coldly. Didn't you just say, what do you want to give me an enema, why don't you do it now? You don't want to live, this is pushing the city big prison, you are tearing up the cell without authorization, but you have committed a serious crime, and someone will come to clean you up soon. The fish panicked and threw an ice pick at Long Yu. Under the strength of the murlocs that are several times larger than ordinary people, the power that erupted from this sudden throw is also not small. That shot out awe-inspiringly was instantly caught by Long Yu's probing hand. The big hand of the bones suddenly clenched, and under the various attribute enchantments ++, the power of the wild and wild erupted, which is also not to be underestimated. Bang ice cones smashed into pieces, turned into crystal debris, and scattered on the corridor. Seeing this scene, Heiyu's complexion suddenly changed. In front of him exudes a gloomy aura, and his words and deeds are obviously not like a joke. 5th floor, what are you doing? Hurry up and be quiet, otherwise don't blame us for running out of food. The phone bug's broadcast suddenly sounded, obviously startled by the noise. The phone bug hanging in the corner, when turning back to shoot, Long Yu suddenly raised his right hand and caught the phone bug in the air. Secondary ghost train. Bang 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 is like a light green ghost fire, like a wheel, condensed out of thin air around Long Yu's body. The next moment, as if being pulled, he quickly shot away the phone bugs around him. Since Long Yu decided to escape from the advanced city prison, the first thing he should do is to buy time to improve his strength. Where the phone bug was completely destroyed in an instant, the expression of the prisoner on the 5th floor suddenly changed drastically. Crazy, this skull is crazy. As a prisoner in the advanced city prison, as long as they are not fools, they all know clearly that there are 2 people in this place who can't offend. In addition to Shiryu the sadistic Rain, there is also a toilet director Magellan. The strength of the 2 may be 1 or 2 inferior to Shiryu of the Rain, but Magellan is at the level of a proper general. With the strength of a general, let alone a prisoner on the 5th floor, even the existence of the 6th floor, which is close to the legend, is probably not an opponent. Especially in the face of Magellan's poisonous fruit ability, it was simply frightening. Murloc, why didn't you speak? Didn't your mouth be very hard just now? I'm standing here, you can attack, let me see what you are capable of. After destroying all the phone bugs, Long Yu spoke again coldly. Seeing this scene of Heiyu, his face suddenly turned pale. Chapter 349, Level 2 Ghost Train. He never imagined that in this prison, it was rare to be able to kick the iron plate with one mouth to pretend to force. Don't come here, you have destroyed the prison, and you have destroyed the phone bug. Warden Magellan will be here soon, and by then, you will be a dead end. The black fish said in a hurry. That's your bottom line. Long Yu's scarlet eyes flashed like firelight and said, or tell me, what means do you have, maybe if you tell me, I can spare your life. For example, Murloc Karate, or Murloc Jiu-Jitsu. No, I won't do this, don't come here, or I'll kill you. Heiyu hurriedly shook his head, and then in a corner, he took out a rudimentary sword. This is a blade polished with an iron column, which is very rare in this kind of prison. Nothing. Long Yu frowned, and said in a deep voice, you are so disappointing to me, but there is one more thing you can help, and that is to ask you to die. Voice fell, Long Yu took a step forward, and the big white bone hand went straight to Taizu to catch him. Witnessing this scene, Heiyu's face suddenly turned pale, a ferocious flash flashed in the depths of his pupils, his hands suddenly clenched the crude sword and stabbed towards Long Yu. You forced me to kill you. When the huge power is vented, if it is changed to normal times, the power of the Murloc is several times, or even 10 times, that of ordinary humans. It's just that the quality of his physique has already dropped by most of the time when he has been in the city university prison all the year round and has not had enough to eat. This so-called stab was not at all brilliant, but was easily caught by Long Yu with the help of the dragon's power. Is this your strength? It's really disappointing. I thought you knew Murloc Karate and Murloc Jiu-Jitsu. Long Yu looked at Heiyu coldly and said, if there is only this, I am very sorry. In my eyes, the strength and weakness are all measured in meters. The difference between 1 centimeter and 3 centimeters is beyond my understanding. So, please die. Secondary ghost train. Pale green secluded flames surged out from Long Yu's big white-boned hands, engulfing the black fish in a blink of an eye. A short period of 7 or 8 seconds, the screams gradually subsided. The huge 5th floor, apart from the burning smell that filled the air, there were only a group of prisoners with pale faces. They never imagined that since the legendary great pirate Golden Lion who was imprisoned in the 6th floor more than 10 years ago successfully escaped, there would be such a crazy thing in their lifetime, coming from the 5th floor. When he thought that even Heiyu had been killed, many prisoners were like falling into an ice cellar when they looked at the scarlet phosphorus fire. Okay, it's your turn to talk about what you are good at. If you are all mediocre, then please die. The awe-inspiring voice of the cold words, like a frenzy, directly hits the depths of people's souls. The face of these crazy words, even God was broken. At the same time, at the moment when the phone bug on the 5th floor was destroyed, the monitor room suddenly went black. The sudden scene made the jailer's face change drastically. Crazy things like this have happened. Why is the screen black? Is there something big that has made Magellan's warden seat unable to sit down? Hannibal's voice came suddenly. At this moment, the jailer, as if he had caught a life-saving straw, reported in a hurry, Deputy Warden, in the 5th floor of the extremely cold hell, there was a prisoner's riot, and the last picture captured by the phone bug was suspected to be a devil fruit. The skeleton of the abilities escaped from the prison. Devil fruit power skull. Hannibal's expression froze, and he hurriedly said, didn't that guy Magellan go to the 5th floor? How could such a thing still happen? Hannibal is very eager to kick Magellan from the position of warden and replace him himself. However, when it comes to strength, Hannibal's strength is just a little bit thicker, and his overall strength stays at the level of a major general. Far cry from Magellan. If even Magellan could not capture the prisoner who escaped from the prison, the person who escaped would probably have reached the Golden Lion-like existence of the past. Warden Magellan has left the 5th floor not long ago. According to the monitoring of the phone bug, he went to the 6th floor, but we have tried to contact just now, but it is a pity that Warden Magellan's phone bug is busy. The jailer hurriedly replied. He's not there. Hannibal was startled at first, then a flash of ecstasy flashed across his face. In advancing the city, the greater the crime, the lower the level of detention, and the harsher the punishment. It can be said that the prisoners in the 5th floor can maintain half the strength of the heyday. If Magellan is not defeated, it means that he, the deputy warden, still has a chance to make merit. Thinking of this, Hannibal wanted to try the huge 5th layer of extreme cold hell, and suddenly it became dead silent. Facing Heiyu's dying cry, This long, silent cell became more depressed. Hey, what are you trying to do? If you keep making trouble like this, Magellan is here, and you will surely die. A burly prisoner was the first to lose his temper. Don't implicate us. Yes, if you want to escape from prison, that's your business, we won't be involved. This is the advanced city, do you think you are a golden lion? Stop joking. This kind of thing, you alone can't do it. Facing the burly skeleton transformed by the dragon feather, after the initial shock, he obviously mistook this change for the ability of the devil fruit. After all, the current state and appearance of Long Yu is similar to that of the warring states of the Wisdom General, Marshal Buddha in the Navy headquarters. Moreover, after such a big thing happened here, the high-level people in the prison will definitely know about it. Once Magellan came again, the skeleton demon in front of him would definitely be killed. For these two reasons, they are not worried. Tired. Long Yu looked around coldly and said, "Who said, I will implicate you? Also, I'm not alone, I just want to borrow something from you." Borrowing something. As soon as these words fell, everyone's nerves were moved. They have been detained on the 5th floor, but they didn't move much between each other. They were separated by a cell and had no intersection. If you want to risk offending Magellan, and being unable to survive in the Advanced City University prison, I am afraid not many people will agree. Boy, we don't know each other at all, why should I borrow something for you? Do you really think that you are a golden lion, and we will borrow it if you say anything? That's your own business, it has nothing to do with us, get out of here. Chapter 350, Don't Kill Me. The huge corridor was boiling again. However, Long Yu didn't take it to heart. He grabbed Heiyu's crude sword with his backhand, his scarlet eyes radiated a ferocious moment, and his icy voice seemed very permeating. Since you don't want to, then I can only take your life. Second level flying. Pong. Long Yu stepped on. Under the power of the dragon and the magic of flying, the whole person was as light as a ghost, and instantly appeared in the prison beside him. The skeleton suddenly clenched it tightly, and the faint green ghost fire instantly ignited on the sword. Second level fire attribute enchantment ++, the ghost fire is on. Along with the penetrating green light, Long Yu clenched the crude sword tightly in both hands, without any fancy, and slashed down towards the iron railing of the prison beside him. Dang! The clanging sound of metal crashing echoed in the huge corridor. Sparks splashed like fireworks, and the thick iron pillar was split in an instant, and the prisoner inside was also cut in half. Remains of the severed limbs flew, and the hot blood splashed, and under the penetrating green light, the soles of the feet were chilled. The moment the corpse was smashed to the ground, he suddenly turned around, and the deep-set skeleton's eyes flashed with scarlet blood, and he looked around in the field. The infiltrating voice came out, shaking the nerves again. The obedient live, the disobedient die, are you ready? The rhetorical question made the originally extremely cold hell even more chilling. Instant, Long Yu rushed out like a cheetah. No, don't kill me. You can't escape even if you kill us. I know how to shave Navy 6. I am willing to follow your escape, don't kill me. The penetrating green, scarlet eyes, blazing, the blade of ghost fire, like a long rainbow that cuts through the night. Many prisoners were directly smashed by Long Yu with one kick, and the moment when his hand raised the knife and dropped, the starving, cold and exhausted prisoners were directly killed in different places. Some pirates who surrendered in the middle were directly unlocked by Long Yu's second-level unlocking magic, which opened the handcuffs. However, with the liberation of people, the number gradually increased. Originally, the prisoner who kept saying that he wanted to help Long Yu gradually revealed his original purpose. Picking up the scattered iron pillars, with a grim look on his face, he rushed towards him. For a time, dozens of people started to move in unison, and the mighty momentum actually overwhelmed Long Yu in terms of momentum. Touched the hearts of many prisoners present, and Shushu was locked on Long Yu's body. In their eyes, no matter how powerful Uchiha Ryu is, if so many people join forces, there will be panic. However, this idea has just emerged, and the scene of the purpose has shaken everyone's nerves. Sure enough, the most trustworthy person in this world is the dead. A low and cold voice came out of Long Yu's mouth. The incarnated Ains are Gong, with scarlet eyes. The moment when the light soared, the violent magic power was vented and detonated like a frenzy. Turned into a hurricane, reversing the entire moment of ruined ruins. When the attacking prisoners were forced to retreat, one after another scarlet magic circles bloomed under the broken corpses. Dozens, hundreds, even some corpses that were killed or starved to death in the past, covered by ice and snow, were also pulled by magic power at this moment, blooming a scarlet magic circle. For a time, every corner of the entire 5th floor seemed to be shrouded in scarlet blood-colored light. The sound of reciting the incantation from Long Yu's mouth became more and more rapid. The next moment, before everyone could react, a huge black magic circle suddenly opened under Long Yu's feet, and the tyrannical magic power swept the audience in a hurricane-like posture. Necromantic necropolis of the dead. Roar. One after another hoarse roar, like the awakening of the dead. That were originally scattered on the ground, the wreckage covered in ice and snow, instantly protruded from the magic circle, and the big hand of the skeleton poked out. Under the horrified eyes of everyone, he struggled to climb out. Hundreds, thousands, even thousands, of white-boned skeletons holding rusted blades appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Number is so large that it looks like a piece of darkness, and there is no end in sight. Who witnessed this scene, flashed a hint of satisfaction on his face, and said, "It seems that the dead are the most trustworthy, although they are only the lowest-level skeleton soldiers, but as long as my thoughts move, they will not have any objection, unless I run out of mana, or they won't back down." The awe-inspiring voice was spit out from Long Yu's mouth, and the icy cold taste hit the depths of one's soul. When his eyes turned abruptly, his hands moved up and down slightly, and the cold voice resounded again. "My servant, fight for freedom. If there are any rebels, kill them all." Roar. Thousands of skeleton soldiers made the most primitive roar, full of wild taste. Like a torrent of steel, it rushed towards the surrounding cells quickly. Unlocked with the help of dragon feather magic, as soon as the gate of the prison was opened, the endless skeletons rushed forward, and burrowed into the prison. Of these skeletons is just a little stronger than ordinary people. However, every one of the prisoners who were sent to Push City University prison had already been tortured, far from their peak. Not only can they have a full meal for 2 or 3 days, but they also have to endure the harsh cold all the time. There are very few people who can really exert their combat power. Most importantly, these skeletons have no concept of life and death, only Long Yu's order to kill is in their minds. Moreover, the skeleton's physique has the property of immortality. Once it is broken, it will quickly reassemble, like a locust, and it will grow endlessly. For a while, after struggling to resist and seeing the fighting style of the skeleton army, the screams echoed one after another in the 5th floor. They never imagined that from the very beginning, Long Yu had been talking about it, saying that he would use their lives to escape from prison, and it turned out to be true. It can summon so many strange skeletons in an instant. This method is beyond their knowledge of devil fruits. The one-sided killing game made the snow and ice ground red. The fallen skeleton quickly recovered after consuming the magic power of the dragon feather. With 179 magic powers, the total magic power of Long Yu now reaches 300. There are currently 2,500 skeleton soldiers, and with the current magic power of Long Yu, they can be reborn dozens of times. Moreover, the prisoners who were killed were transformed into skeleton soldiers by Long Yu in an instant when they fell to the ground. With the increasing number of the dead, the prisoners in the 5th floor, after seeing Long Yu's strength with their own eyes, there are many defectors. Just 4 or 5 minutes, the huge army of the dead occupied the entire prison corridor, except for the extremely cold forest outside. It can be said that this 5th floor has already fallen directly. Chapter 351. Surrender. You are sure to return. Long Yu's scarlet eyes rolled in vain and landed on the 50 or 60, 506,506 prisoners behind him, who were able to save their lives, buy time to surrender, and even initiate resistance to the approach of Long Yu under the impact of the army of skeletons, were all outstanding in the 5th floor. It can be said that in its heyday, the bounty it has can definitely reach over 100 million. We are willing to surrender. I know the iron nugget in the 6th form of the Navy. I know Murloc Jiu-Jitsu. A series of answers came out, echoing in the corridor for a long time, and there was no way to disperse. However, there are still many prisoners who are hesitant. After all, they are all heroes on the sea, and it still takes a lot of determination to let them surrender as captains. Who witnessed this scene, did not make another move. He now has the means of the Bone King. Percent of the heyday. To really escape from this place, it still needs the efforts of these prisoners. In addition to most of the mediocre people, the screen now kills chickens and warns monkeys, which makes many people feel in awe. The next thing he has to do is to let these rebellious guys follow the order and break through the city prison. Thinking of this, Long Yu's eyes turned in vain, and he said coldly, "Don't worry, the so-called surrender is only before leaving the advanced city prison. Once the escape is successful and the road is up, we will not owe each other, and now Magellan is going. On the 6th floor, I sent an army of skeletons to suppress the only gate and block his steps. Next, we need to get out of the city big prison in one go." The icy and piercing voice, as if infused with a magic sound, shook everyone's nerves. A moment ago, the prisoners who were worried that they would become slaves and horses under Long Yu's command suddenly lit up, and they all shouted in unison. There are many of them, but they saw Magellan enter the 6th floor with their own eyes. Moreover, in the large prison of the advanced city, in order to prevent mistakes, there is only one entrance and exit connecting each floor. If Long Yu is really willing to send a large army of skeletons out to stop Magellan, it may not be difficult to push upwards. For a time, the faces of the prisoners were even more filled with fighting intent. After capturing the changes in everyone's expressions, Long Yu didn't hesitate any longer. He is very clear about the truth of lateness and change. What's more, with his current strength, he is simply not enough to fight against Magellan. Once he found out that there was a riot on the 5th floor, the army of thousands of skeletons could not stop killing for a long time. Therefore, after Long Yu inherited the template of the conspirator, the Bone King, he also inherited the black belly and conspiracy theories. Dang! The rudimentary sword in his hand was directly inserted into the ground, attracting the remaining prisoners in an instant. Dragon Feather's scarlet fiery eyes blaze, flickering and jumping. Bingley said, "You are imprisoned in the 5th floor, and your strength is not as good as before. It can be said that now it is just a piece of garbage. In my eyes, garbage has no life value at all, and it has no use in the world. It can be said that I want to kill you now, easily." The inexplicable awe-inspiring words made the faces of the prisoners in the arena change dramatically. In their eyes, they had just surrendered happily, but why did they suddenly turn their faces again? Is that because of trash _______? Bye. However, don't worry, in the next 10 minutes, I will be able to restore you to your heyday, and I hope you can leave the advanced city prison alive. Long Yu's eyes narrowed, and he roared sternly. The fighter will win, and the retreat will kill. The madness of the secondary auxiliary magical orcs. Dang! The scarlet magic circle with a diameter of several hundred meters bloomed under Long Yu's feet. The nearly 100 prisoners were stunned at first, and the next moment they felt these scarlet bloodlights, like poisonous insects, burrowed into their bodies. The next moment, the veins quickly appeared on the surface of the body, and under the hideous prominence, they squirmed like a centipede. Before everyone could react, a huge force felt like a torrent going straight to the limbs. Muscles all over the body are like inflated, and they bulge quickly, giving people a feeling of explosive rock. Some of the prisoners who were also capable of physical training were originally tower-like, almost 2 meters 4 or 5, and their height was abruptly pulled up a lot. Especially those two fish giants, directly reaching a height of 8 or 9 meters. The exposed skin was completely blood red, and even the eyeballs were flushed. The face of this sudden physical change, the kind of power. Beyond its heyday, such a miraculous means. For them, it is like a god. Not in their eyes, if this skeleton demon is to be called a god, it is absolutely qualified to be called a god of death. The awe-inspiring fighting spirit, the enchanting plus attribute of the berserk works down, and was suddenly pushed to the extreme. Seeing these suddenly become a prisoner who can defeat 10 prisoners by one, Long Yu did not stop for a while. The huge white boned hand suddenly clenched the crude sword, and the cold voice reverberated again. Let's go, step on and advance the city. Kill. With a chorus of shouts, dozens of prisoners caught in the fury of the orcs rushed to the entrance connecting to the 4th floor. Looking at this scene, the moment Long Yu used his flying to keep up, he grabbed the fat man beside him. Sir, what's the matter? The fat man, whose head was full of rage, suddenly woke up as if he had been poured cold water on his head when he was caught by the infiltrating skeleton demon in front of him. You said just now that you understand the 6-style iron block. I want you to show it. Long Yu spoke directly. Right now, he can deal with ordinary people. With this bone body, maybe he is more than excellent. However, once encountering a real powerhouse, with the defensive power of the Bone King, it is simply not enough to protect oneself. At the moment, I don't know how to be domineering in armed color, so I can only retreat and get the iron block first. Iron block. Big Man was stunned for a moment, and then he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Sir, you don't know something, this iron nugget was learned when I was in the Navy headquarters. It's just that my talent is limited. After 10 years in the Navy, I just learned an iron nugget. It's just that in the Navy headquarters, I am also a leader. It took me 4 years to learn the iron nugget. At this time, my lord, I am afraid it is a little bit to learn the iron nugget. Having said that, the big man did not continue to speak. In his eyes, even if the talent is the strongest, I am afraid that he will not be able to learn the iron block just by looking at it once. Now it's just a waste of time. Looking at the change in the big man's expression, Long Yu of course knew what he was thinking, but he didn't take it to heart and said, Don't worry, it won't take much time, you show it once is enough. Chapter 352, Prison Break. Once the big man was stunned for a moment, listening to this unquestionable tone, he felt a little unhappy in his heart, but the situation was strong, and he couldn't allow him to say more. 6-type iron nuggets. Ohm. The sound of the air vibrating suddenly came out, accompanied by the muscles of the big man tightening like a rock, and the whole person was still in place like a heavy iron block. Long Yu's deep-set skeleton eye sockets jumped under the scarlet firelight, holding a crude sword, and slashed straight at the big man's body. The violent scene made the big man's face change slightly. However, if you cast the iron block, if you don't have extraordinary skills, you will not be able to move for a moment or 3, and the only thing you can do is to watch the attack fall on your body. Dang! The crisp metal collision sound resounded suddenly. Long Yu showed a hint of satisfaction when he saw the sword being bounced away. On the next journey, I kept asking some questions about the way the iron blocks were cast, and I also had a general idea in my heart. However, this is only the beginning. Long Yu is trying now. It is an instant full-level system, in this case, whether it can be successfully used. Thinking of this, Long Yu's thoughts turned, and the ethereal voice of the system suddenly sounded. Ding dong, the host is detected, try to connect to the main body, and the system will be fully leveled in an instant. It is hereby explained that it will not be activated under the maintenance character template. However, in view of the host's first use, exception activation is currently allowed, whether it is immediately. An instant full level of one of the 6 types of Navy iron. Exception. Long Yu couldn't help but rolled his eyes when he heard the words. If he could make an exception once, then he could make an exception for the 2nd and 3rd time. Just like a man's speech, we just sleep and don't do anything else. I just can't get in. At the last minute, exceptions are not allowed. However, there is an exception now, which also saves Uchiha Ryu's words, and gives the order without thinking too much. Immediately. Instantly full. Ding dong, please wait a moment, host. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, one of the 6 types of Navy iron block, the instant full level success. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, you have acquired the naval iron block extension skill Empty Wood, and you have achieved full level in an instant. A series of system prompting sounds made the soul flame in Long-Yu's deep-synced skeleton eyes jump. Unexpectedly, when the iron block is instantly full, it can also activate the Empty Wood. If he remembered correctly, this was the 6th form extension skill possessed by Rob Lucci. Effect is like anti-armor, which can reverse the enemy's attack. However, this trick still has limitations. If the opponent's attack power far exceeds his own defense power, the damage that the Empty Wood can bounce back will be ineffective. It's just that, if you deal with ordinary people, coupled with the unique magic attribute of the Death Archmage, it can reflect the negative contact of splash damage, and it can have an outstanding effect. We're here. The low voice rang out in an instant. The 2 fish giants rushing in front were the first to speak. 2 minutes have passed since the riot. Facing the unknown situation of Magellan, there cannot be any delay at the moment. Breakthrough 5 directly. Senses, his deep voice sounded. The 2 fish giants suddenly clenched the huge iron pillar they had captured along the way with both hands, and the moment their arm muscles twitched, they slammed down towards the huge steel gate. Meanwhile, on the other side of the gate, after learning that Magellan was heading to the 6th floor, when it was impossible to contact, Hannibal's ambitions obviously skyrocketed infinitely. Orders were distributed in his hands. They immediately rushed to the entrance of the 4th floor, led the 4 major prison beasts, and the chief of the prison, Sati, to the entrance. Deputy Warden Hannibal, can you really be alone? Sati spoke suddenly. She is 1.7 meters tall, with blonde hair like a lion, with devilish red horns, a scarlet leather coat, a white cloak, and a fork in her hand. Gives a feeling like a big beauty yaksha. HMPH, as my subordinate, Sati is questioning my eligibility to inherit the warden, a mere rioter. Can he escape from Magellan's hands, but can he escape the blood-sucking in my hands? Hannibal rolled his eyes with disdain. You have to know, my goal is not the position of the warden, it is just to maintain the fierce reputation of our promotion of Chinda prison. I think when I faced the Golden Lion back then, I faced the same invincible attitude, if not at the last moment. Diarrhea, he will never escape from the Push City. Seeing Hannibal, who revealed his ambitions and boasted that he didn't write drafts at all, Sati was already used to it, and after a trace of abuse flashed on his face, he said, since the deputy warden, you have the confidence to suppress it, then we will stay here. Stay here. However, if possible, in the next interrogation, I hope that Deputy Warden Hannibal can hand him over to me. I haven't heard a moving cry for a long time. To the Deputy Warden, open the door. Open the door. Flash of excitement flashed on Hannibal's face, and he raised the blood-sucking in his hand, as if he had already seen that as soon as the door in front of him was opened, there would be a large area of light under his feet. Boom! A dull crashing sound like thunder resounded. The huge impact was released like a frenzy. The thick steel door dented in an instant, and before everyone could react the next moment, the 2 heavy doors were slammed into the air. The dark crowd was the first to catch Hannibal's eyes. Looking at this lineup, when his pupils shrank suddenly, his eye sockets almost split. Now he almost wanted to greet the whole family of the prison guards in the monitoring room. Moreover, he couldn't believe the most, why the prisoner, who should have been starved to the point where his face was yellow and skinny, was so excited as if he had been beaten with blood. If you don't see it before your eyes, no one wants to believe it. Hurry up, free the prisoners on the 4th floor and continue to rush up. The awe-inspiring roar spread through the crowd, and they didn't pay much attention to Hannibal, the deputy warden. Long Yu's eyes turned abruptly, and he also met his eyes. You bastard, are you the one who released the prisoners? If you let Magellan know that Lao Su is also suffering, the 4 jailer beasts, stop them for me, and I will see what ability you have. Hannibal recovered and roared angrily. At the same time, his figure flickered, and he appeared in front of Long Yu 1 step ahead. The blood sucking in his hand suddenly clenched tightly, straightened up and stabbed towards Long Yu. The violent scene changed the expression of the prisoner who escaped from the prison. Facing Hannibal's attack, Long Yu seemed to be completely unaware. Right now, this prison escape operation is led by Long Yu, and most importantly, he has seen Long Yu's means and strength with his own eyes. If something happened to him at this time, it would be a death nightmare for them. Chapter 353, Warden. However, just as this idea sprouted in their minds, Hannibal's face was filled with a hint of ecstasy, and the words that floated in their ears shook their nerves. It's just right, I also want to try. Can this old bone be able to use the 6 naval styles? The flames in Long Yu's eyes suddenly soared, and his fingers suddenly clenched under the clattering of the bones and joints of both hands. Empty wood negative contact. The inexplicable voice came out, making Hannibal startled at first. The next moment, before they could react, the blood sucking in Hannibal's hand had already pierced the bone in Long Yu's chest. When the dull metal collision sound resounded suddenly, and the moment Mars tensed, I saw Long Yu's body motionless. When the huge impact was released, the next moment was like a frenzy, recoiling towards Hannibal. At the same time, the innate attribute skills possessed by the Archmage of the deceased, and the negative contact turned into strands of black thunder that spread towards Hannibal. Ah! An awe-inspiring scream suddenly resounded through the corridor. Hannibal's muscles froze, and he fell to the ground with blue smoke. The blood sucking in his hand made a thud, and it flew off and fell. Looking at this sudden scene, not to mention Sati, the warden of the big prison, even those prisoners had chills in their spines. This step on the horse is to stand up and kill. However, the most difficult and unbelievable person is the big man who Long Yu talked to and instructed the iron block once. It's rare for a skeleton to cast iron blocks, but if Long Yu didn't lie, it's the first time to learn the 6 naval styles. Then this is a monster. At the same time, the 5th floor of the extremely cold hell was broken, perhaps because the phone bug was destroyed, and the monitoring room was not alerted. However, now that the entrance and exit gates of the 4th and 5th floors have been breached, how can they not know? In an instant, the monitoring room became a mess. Only Magellan, who was in the 6th layer of infinite hell, was still in the dark. Magellan, you are a rare visitor. How can you have time to call me, an old guy? The voice of the Warring States came out from the phone bug. Last time, when you looked for me, it was when Shiryu was messing around. This time, it won't be any trouble again. The slightly chattering words caused Magellan's brows to wrinkle. The Navy headquarters, Judicial Island, and Advanced City University Prison are separate and independent government agencies. However, in terms of individual strength, a Navy headquarters can overwhelm the City Grand Prison and Judicial Island. Moreover, most of the garrison troops of the two came from the naval headquarters. Advancing to the sea outside the Chinda prison, there are more battleships than slaughtering orders. In order to avoid, once again similar to the Golden Lion love. However, although Magellan did not want to be in touch with Zahn, he still couldn't put his mind at ease when faced with that. As if he suddenly entered his mind, but had no memory or origin, he said, Marshal of the Warring States period, this time I'm here to find you. I want to know the origin of a prisoner named Uchiha Ryu who was detained on the 5th floor. There is no record of this guy in my file. Uchiha Dragon Feather. Warring States' brows couldn't help frowning, as if he was scouring the memory in his mind, and after a while, he said, this name seems to be the first time I've heard it. Wait a while, I'll have someone check it out, but if the prisoner we can't remember, his ability won't be strong, so you don't have to worry. As soon as these words came out, Shiryu nodded in agreement and said with a big laugh, Warring States, you. Old guy, there is some truth to what he said. There is no prestige in the strong. If even we can't remember, I am afraid they are also unknown people. This time, I'm afraid Magellan is making a fuss. The fuss. Magellan frowned even tighter. However, this time, before he could speak, a rush of broadcast sound resounded throughout the 6th floor. Master prisoner, something is wrong. The 5th floor that was strange just now was breached by a big skeleton demon. The prisoners rioted and broke through the steel gate on the 4th floor, and are now rushing to the 3rd floor. What? Magellan's face changed dramatically, and he said, why didn't you inform me earlier? And Hannibal, where did he go? In Magellan's eyes, the riot on the 5th floor should have been discovered early and told him to deal with it. Now that even the 4th floor has been breached, I was told that this delayed the military situation. Warden, your phone worm is busy, and all the phone worms on the 5th floor have been destroyed. We can only use this method to notify you. There was a rapid explanation voice in the broadcast. After a pause, he hesitated to speak again. As for Deputy Warden Hannibal, he was killed by the other side standing up. Killed while standing. Magellan and Shiryu of the Rain suddenly changed their expressions. For the careerist Hannibal, they did not take it seriously. However, it is also clear that he has the strength of a major general, or even an ordinary lieutenant general, and he was actually killed while standing up. This is too shocking. If they hadn't heard it with their own ears, they wouldn't want to believe that it was all true. The face of this violent scene, even in the phone bug, the prisoners who boasted to Heiko a moment ago and said that they could not remember were all unknown people from the Warring States period, and they also felt that their old faces were hot. A moment ago, he talked about insignificance, but now he has broken through the 5th layer of infinite hell, and rushed to the 4th layer. With such means be unknown. Marshal of the Warring States, I don't have time to chat with you now. Magellan's face was gloomy and watery, and the phone worm in his hand urged him not to strangle to death. He never imagined that since the Golden Lion escaped from prison 15 years ago, there would be such a violent escape in the advancing city he governed. And, still, it happened when he just had a phone call with Sengoku. This means that even if he suppresses the riots in the prison afterwards, he will not be able to cover the fire with paper, and he will be thrown outside in disgrace. However, what surprised him most was that the other party didn't even want to hit the 6th floor. Although, the prisoners on the 6th floor have been imprisoned for so many years, and their strength and state are not as good as before. However, once liberated, it was also a headache for Magellan. This is still the premise that he has the poisonous fruit, and he can use the advantage of the poison to suppress them. Otherwise, I'm afraid it won't be possible to change to Shiryu of the Rain. Of course, in order to avoid this is a tactic of turning the tiger away from the mountain. Magellan still has to make a two-handed preparation before clarifying the origin and strength of the opponent. Shiryu, you have also been imprisoned for a long time. The situation in the city is still unclear. I need your help. I will notify the world government after the incident and let them consider restoring you to your original post. Magellan looked back into the cell. Shiryu's expression froze. He didn't expect that happiness would come so suddenly, and the moment he showed a playful smile, he said, "Hee, Magellan, it seems that you really value that guy very much." 350th chapters. Take it with bare hands. However, don't worry, for my freedom, of course, I will help you suppress it. Facing Shiryu, who was eager to try, Magellan raised his brows, but he did not hesitate. Now that the arrow is on the string, it has to be sent. If things can't be calmed down as soon as possible, once the riots spread to the rest of the floors, this is not what he wants to see. Thinking of this, Magellan took out the key and opened the door of the cell directly. At the same time, there are heavy handcuffs on Shiryu of the Rain. Feeling the long-lost freedom, Shiryu of Rain's face became even more playful. After moving his joints, he said with a smile, "My thunderstorm should be in your office at the junction of the 5th floor. I hope you are well. Take care of it. HMPH, you just need to suppress the 6th floor for me. Leave those knights to me. Magellan didn't take the talk, snorted coldly, and walked towards the entrance on the left. Due to the special status of Shiryu of the Rain, his prison relies on the entrance. It is also convenient for Magellan's backhand monitoring and defense. Facing Magellan's answer, Shiryu of the Rain narrowed his eyes slightly, took a puff of cigarette, and turned his eyes abruptly, landing on the slowly opening entrance. However, the scene that entered the target was a torrent of black skeletons. Whoosh whoosh. The awe-inspiring sound of breaking through the air suddenly rang through the sky in all directions. The order Long Yu gave these low-level skeletons was to do everything possible to block those who returned to the 5th floor. Door opened, the skeletal archers who had already squatted here were pulling their bows and shooting arrows. Hundreds of skeletons volleyed. Perhaps the power was not in the eyes of Magellan. But in the face of this sudden scene, there was obviously a hint of hesitation. At least, in his eyes, he did not expect that the 5th floor of the extremely cold hell was actually occupied by a large group of skeleton creatures. Shave. A sound of breaking air suddenly sounded behind Magellan, and the moment he tensed his nerves, Shiryu of the Rain, who was standing behind him, disappeared like a ghost. When it reappeared, it had already crossed the sky of arrow feathers and came to the gate surrounded by skeletons. No knife flow pitch black big horse training. Shiryu of the Rain was holding a cigarette, and his arms were black as ink and domineering, and quickly covered his hands. The next moment, like a tiger, it plunged into the army of skeletons. Haliu, stop for me and don't forget your mission. Magellan's face changed drastically, and he exclaimed in a hurry. Seeing Shiryu of the Rain, who rushed out of sight in an instant, he couldn't hold back his breath. The 5 fingers of both hands were suddenly clenched, and the endless venom flowed in the hands like a frenzy, and the next moment, it was suddenly shot out from the air. Poison Dragon. Roar. The sound of the dragon's roar is a masterpiece. 3 poisonous dragons with a body length of 100 meters were condensed out of thin air. With a fierce attitude, they smashed straight towards the skeleton. Boom. The poisonous dragon swooped down, and the huge rush splashed a large amount of venom, engulfing all the skeletons that blocked the way. Venomous, highly corrosive, etc. With a slight touch, the skeleton will be corroded in a blink of an eye. Moreover, the poison dragon was even more powerful, rushing straight to the surrounding passages. However, by the time Magellan rushed out of the gate, there was no sign of Shiryu of the Rain. The 4th floor. Burning hell. The riots spread like a wave with the appearance of numerous skeleton armies and prisoners on the 5th floor. Some people were even more responsible for opening the gates of the prisoners on the 4th floor, making the original prison breakout even more unprecedented. Big 4. Jailerman, although it has the ability to awaken the animal-type fruit. However, in the face of the 5th level prisoner who has obtained the 2nd level Orc Rage Enchantment ++ attribute, it is obviously a little powerless. Boss, we should be able to rush to the 3rd floor with such a spirit. The big man who was guiding Long Yu Iron Block was the first to say it with excitement. As a betrayal of the Navy, once sent to the Pushing City Grand Prison, it represents an endless imprisonment and torture. Obviously a great thing to see the opportunity to escape right now. No, now is not the time to be happy. Unlike them, Long Yu knew the dangers of advancing the city. It wasn't that the big man was stunned at first, and the next moment, the awe-inspiring sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded from behind without warning, tensing everyone's nerves. Long Yu's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly looked behind him. At the same time, he raised his index fingers with both hands, and the skeletons blocking the back suddenly folded into a human wall. Boom! The moment the skeleton wall was formed, it was instantly blown up, and the fierce air splashed, and it quickly shredded the surrounding skeletons. Boom! A large number of skeletons were blown away in an instant, and the trend of sword energy did not decrease, even more go straight after Long Yu. Wherever they passed along the way, those low-level skeletons were torn to shreds in an instant like paper. The violent scene caused the complexion of the prisoner on the 5th floor to change dramatically. The first figure that flashed in their minds with a slash of this kind of power was Shiryu of the Rain, dubbed the executioner of pushing the city. Get out of the way. Long Yu's eyes sank, and he kicked the big man behind him. The next moment, he pushed the 6-type iron block to the extreme, without any fancy, and suddenly caught the attacking knife gang. The face of this guy who claims to be the second fighting force in the advanced city, Long Yu is eager to verify how big the gap between the two sides is. The violent scene made everyone's faces change slightly. Pity that before they could react, Long Yu's big white-boned hand suddenly clenched tightly. Bang! The sharp knife gang exploded with a bang, and the hurricane that set off overturned many people, and even rolled up a large piece of sand and dust. Facing this violent scene, everyone eagerly looked at Long Yu. The scene that they are most worried about after being chased and put on the shelf to escape from prison, although it is not Magellan. But if they had to choose between Magellan and Shiryu the Rain. If the person who came is Magellan, there may be a trace of life. However, if you meet this perverted executioner, you will surely die. Take it with your bare hands. I don't know who exclaimed, and all the prisoners present showed ecstasy. If Shiryu of the Rain can't stop it, then let's not talk about escaping from prison. I'm afraid it's still a one-sided slaughter. Seeing that he had only retreated 7 or 8 steps, there was a shallow slash mark on his big bones, and even the expression of Yuziliu, who came with a cigarette and a thunderstorm in his hand, couldn't help but sank. The hardness of this bone, after using an iron block, is enough to beat an ordinary slash. After weighing the scene of the collision just now, Long Yu said to himself, according to the calculation, I should be able to confront the Brigadier General with this body alone in close combat. However, the person in front of you is not simple. It seems that those two things need to be used. System, equip me with the must-win glasses and the Demon World boarding cloak. Chapter 355, Left Alone. Ding dong, please wait a moment, host. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, the equipment must hit the glasses and the Demon World boarding cloak successfully. The ethereal voice of the system resounded in my mind. Soon, a huge cloak that was as black as ink appeared behind Long Yu. As for the glasses, they belonged to the invisible equipment, but the flames of the burning soul suddenly soared in Long Yu's deep skeleton eye sockets. Scores or even more terrifying. The breath that had been exuding, like a frenzy, surged again. Ding dong, congratulations, the host's current fidelity has increased to 30%, and the current total magic power has reached 50,000. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the 3rd-level Undead Magic Necromancy Bomb. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the 3rd-level Undead Summoning Magic Undead Knight. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for getting Super Magic Skyfall. The ethereal prompting sounds of the 3 systems made Long Yu's deep-set eyes, and the beating soul flame also stagnated. Let's not talk about necrobombs, or undead knights. If he had known in the morning that he would be able to obtain superposition magic by wearing an artifact, he would not have to work so hard to plan so many escapes. The banishing magic that can be covered by a single blow, covering a radius of 5 kilometers. In the original work, even the Bone King in his heyday could only use his methods 3 times a day. Right now, with Long Yu's 30% fidelity, although he can only perform it once, it's enough. Boss, what shall we do next? The big man who was kicked flying by Long Yu took the lead and couldn't hold his breath and asked. Facing Shiryu of the Rain, they all went together. Let's not talk about the odds of winning. Once the time is delayed and Magellan is chasing after them, I am afraid that waiting for them will be a dead end. I'll stop him. You guys go to break through the gate on the 3rd floor, I'll buy 2 minutes. Long Yu looked at Shiryu of the Rain coldly. Leave alone. The prisoners present were stunned for a moment, in their calculations. Many people had come to their senses and stayed behind to fight Shiryu of the Rain. They never thought that Long Yu would make such a decision. Haha, I didn't expect that you still have this kind of courage, but staying alone would be a bit underestimating me. Shiryu of the Rain drank a cigar, took out a handkerchief with his back and wiped the thunderstorm. This is a long-lost battle, I hope you won't let me down. Disappointed. Long Yu sneered, the soul flame in his eyes became more and more bright, and he said coldly, "Don't worry, your calmness will be broken by me. You still hurry up, the guy who gets in the way, I will kill them together." The awe-inspiring voice fell, and everyone's nerves were suddenly tense. Dang! At the moment when the scarlet magic circle bloomed under Long Yu's feet, the shattered skeletons quickly reshaped and returned, and dozens or hundreds of them turned into a torrent and rushed directly towards Shiryu of Rain. The violent scene made those prisoners instantly. Boy, when I came here, I already knew these sloppy, living means, but if you want to use this little trick to break my calm, I'm afraid it's a dream. Shiryu of the Rain took a deep breath of his cigar. The handkerchief wiped the thunderstorm's movement, but it still didn't stop. In his eyes, these so-called skeletons, as he said, are just a bunch of offal. However, this idea just emerged in my mind, and the playful words that fell in my ears. But it shook Shiryu of the Rain's nerves. If you add something, maybe you'll be happier. Level 3 Undead Magic Dead Bomb. The small voice sounded in vain, and the magic circle under Long Yu's feet bloomed again. Wherever the skeletons passed, the originally deep-set eyes, the faint fire of the soul flickered, instantly became dazzling. The originally slow movements became in an instant extremely agile, a torrent of steel formed by dozens or even hundreds of people, like tigers and leopards, rushed towards Shiryu of the Rain. The violent scene made Shiryu of the Rain startled at first, and the next moment a shadow of death quickly spread through his domineering arrogance. Before he could fully react, the simple cold words had already been swallowed. Blast me. 3 words said, the skeletons that rushed like tigers and leopards had a moment of stagnation, and the next moment, the soul flames jumping in the eyes skyrocketed to the extreme. Without any bells and whistles, it exploded like a bomb. Thunder-like explosions sounded one after another. Dozens and hundreds of skeletons exploded at the same time, and the resulting flames and air waves impacted, instantly breaking the calmness on Shiryu of Rain's face. Bang 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 explosions sounded like thunder, and the huge air wave rolled back like a frenzy, and even those prisoners and jailers who could not escape in time were swept away in an instant. The heavy rock floor was even more overwhelmed and shattered like a cobweb. Of debris splattered like bullets. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. They never imagined that the moment Long Yu made his move, it would be so powerful. However, more eyes, still subconsciously, fell into the explosion. The second-ranked top-ranking combat force advancing the city grand prison, they don't believe that it will be solved so easily. You bastard, if this is your confidence, then leave me with your head on your neck. An angry roar came out in the endless explosion. The next moment, the sharp and ear-piercing sound of the knife roared like an angry dragon. The fierce vacuum slash, condensed out of thin air, exploded in the sky, was directly torn apart, and rushed towards Long Yu in a rolling posture. Boy, without this group of skeletons that get in the way, I see how you fight with me. Ruins, Shiryu of Rain's figure was revealed. Although he resisted the undead bomb, half of the clothes he just put on and the cigar on his mouth were also blown off. Originally, I planned to take this opportunity to regain its glory. Never imagined that it would end in such a miserable end as soon as it was shot. Thinking of this, Shiryu of the Rain suddenly clenched the thunderstorm with his 5 fingers, the blue veins on the back of his hands were even more prominent, and the moment his face was hideous, he shot again in anger. However, as soon as he moved, Long Yu's deep-set skeleton eye, the swaying soul flame sword, and a more violent magic power exploded like a frenzy. The huge blood-colored magic circle bloomed with the dragon feather as the center, 5 dark mists quickly condensed and condensed. The next moment, before the slash came, a roar of horses suddenly sounded. The figure of 5 paths, 2 meters 4 or 5, was the first to appear in the mist. Huge skeleton warhorse, undead knight in fine armor, holding a huge shield that can block 3/4 of the body, tower shield. Chapter 356, Unparalleled Fireworks. That is nearly 130 centimeters long. Originally, it required both hands to pick it up, but now it was easily lifted by the undead knight. Moreover, this magic sword also has the undead bloodthirsty enchantment ++ attribute. Once it hits the enemy, it will bear the impact of corpse poison. Most importantly, this undead knight also possesses 2 innate skills. The first is that it can completely attract the enemy to attack. The other one is for one time only, no matter what. Whatever attack is received, it can be resisted with a little bit left. It is precisely for this reason that although the undead knight is only level 35, and his real strength is only level 25, in the original book, it is often used by the Bone King as a meat shield. Shiryu, I want to thank you a lot for helping me figure out which chops, otherwise I won't be able to summon these 555 undead knights smoothly. Long Yu smiled warmly, waved his big hand, and the 5 undead knights instantly formed a shield wall. Stop the attack. Roar. The 5 undead knights roared in unison, and at the moment when the huge shield in their hands appeared blood-colored and mysterious patterns, they were lifted up in unison. Boom. The sharp knife gang slashed on the shield in an instant, and the impact formed was like a frenzy that rolled backwards. However, in the face of this fierce slash, the 5 undead knights did not even shake, and they abruptly carried the attack. However, in Long Yu's attribute page, there are 5 more undead knights' attribute values. 5,000 points, just a reduction of 200 or 300 points. According to this level, it is enough for Long Yu to cast superposition magic and escape from this ghost place. However, before using such prosperous fireworks-like means, there seems to be a lack of an audience. Skull-shaped Eudemon's devil fruit power user. A gloomy voice sounded suddenly. Soon, behind Shiryu of the Rain, came a figure with purple venom flowing all over his body, and his physique was far beyond ordinary people. Wherever you pass along the way, the rock formations beneath your feet seem to be unable to withstand this venom, making a rust-like corrosive sound. That gloomy face to the extreme, almost gloomy out of water, with cold eyes staring straight at Long Yu. Magellan, you're finally here, I'm still waiting for you. Long Yu smiled warmly. However, with this skeleton-like posture, this warm smile, on the contrary, it looks very scary. You wait for me. Magellan was stunned for a moment, then smiled disdainfully and said, Little devil, are you joking? This is the 4th floor, or you think that you must be able to escape, so you are forced to stay calm here. Having said that, Magellan's eyes fell on the 5 undead knights, and said, You still think that these chops alone can stop me? Poison Dragon. The sound of roar sounded one after another, and Magellan shot instantly. Seeing that the 3rd floor began to be impacted, now is not the time for him to talk too much. In his eyes, no matter what are these undead riders capable of, and in the face of his poison, only one blow is enough to kill them in seconds. Roar. The sound of the dragon's roar shook the sky, and the purple venom, like a tide, quickly rewinded on Magellan's body, instantly turning into 5 poisonous dragons. Mouth of the blood basin suddenly slammed down and attacked the 5 undead knights. The violent scene changed Shiryu's expression slightly. However, facing Magellan in a rage, he didn't want to be affected by the venom. Chiyu hurriedly withdrew to the side. Eyes turned in vain and locked on Long Yu's body. He wanted to know, in the face of Magellan, who even he was afraid of 3 points and 3 points, what kind of confidence did the skeleton demon in front of him have to escape in the 4th floor? This scene, at the moment when the fire of the soul in Long Yu's eyes skyrocketed, the simple words were uttered like thunder. Charge! 5 undead knights, those rotting cheeks, and the soul flames that danced in their eyes also suddenly soared, and the skeleton warhorses under their crotch made a roar and rushed out without any fear. Magellan was stunned for a moment, and then he laughed uncontrollably and said, Stupid kid, I don't know how you created these monsters, but if you rely on these things to escape from the pushing city prison, that would be contempt for me, Magellan. So let me die. Boom. The poisonous dragon is like a tide, and the moment the speed soars, it is swallowed by the 5 undead knights. However, in the face of all this, in Magellan's eyes, it was still the horrifying genial smile, and the words that fell in his ear shook everyone's nerves. Ignorance is also a sin. They are just my meat shields. I hope you will like it. The fireworks that will be staged next. Magellan and Shiryu of the Rain were startled at first. However, before they could react, Long Yu's black robe was moving without wind, and the moment his hands were slightly raised, the soul flame in his eyes burned violently. Dang! The vibrating sound of the air, like the ringing of Big Ben, sounded one after another. Another blue mysterious magic circle, blooming like a flower, dormant, in Long Yu's body, the only remaining 30,000 points of magic power exploded like a thunder, turned into a pillar of optimism, rushing straight up. Boom! The huge magical power is released, like a hurricane passing through, and the huge spiritual pressure contained in it is like an invisible big hand, which suddenly tightens the heart of people. With slightly weaker strength and weaker wills, foaming at the mouth instantly passed out. Feeling this terrifying aura, when Shiryu the Rain's face changed slightly, Magellan on the side said coldly, "It's so strange that the Overlord is domineering, but I don't care how you pretend to be mysterious, but you are still too underestimated." "I am. No matter what. What attack did you launch, but now you are full of flaws." Poison Dragon. One trick to use Poison Dragon. It's not Magellan, there is no other stronger means, because in his eyes, Long Yu is only worth making him work hard to this point. However, as soon as this thought appeared, the venom that filled the sky was squirming quickly, intending to turn into a poisonous dragon to attack again. Long Yu's indifferent voice fell into his ears. "Magellan, I'm sorry, I didn't underestimate you, but you underestimated me. My meat shield is not that simple." The small voice, at this moment, seemed to be infused with a magic sound, hitting the depths of the soul. Woo-hoo! A loud roar like thunder, roared in unison. Under the venom in the sky, the figures of 5 undead knights directly broke through the 5, and came out, the skeleton warhorse under the crotch, stepped on the drum-like horse step, and rushed straight to Magellan. Distance of 20 or 30 meters, under a charge, approached in the blink of an eye. "Kill!" the hoarse soul voice spit out from the mouths of the 5 undead knights. The giant sword in his hand, like a door, without any fancy, swung it up and smashed it at Magellan. The violent scene, let alone Magellan, even Shiryu the Rain's expression froze. Chapter 357. The prison was penetrated. He had played against Magellan before, and he knew clearly how powerful this venom was. Even without using his arrogance, he was able to make a face-to-face attack that was ignored by these 5 monsters. If you don't see it with your own eyes, I'm afraid no one will believe it. However, this can't blame them for their ignorance. After all, undead magic is not a product of this world. 5 undead knights only rely on special talents and skills, and only one is left, ignoring the attack. However, this is enough to gain enough casting time for Long Yu. Seeing the attack of the 5 undead knights approaching, Magellan's face sank, and he roared in anger. Toxic Giant Hell Judge. His poisonous fruit is only a superhuman type, and cannot use elementalization to ignore the attack in front of him. Roar! The purple venom on Magellan's body rolled like a frenzy, instantly turning into a huge skeleton of dozens of meters, and slammed into the 5 undead knights that were attacking head-on. Bang! The 5 undead knights had 1 blood left, but in the face of this venomous attack, they shattered and turned into a pitch-black mist. Seeing this annoying monster shattering between heaven and earth, Magellan was stunned at first. A murderous intent flashed in his pupils, his eyes turned in vain, and locked on Long Yu's body. "Little devil, it seems that your meat shield is still vulnerable. If your fireworks have not arrived yet, then you should die first." Bang! The purple venomous skeleton moved in an instant, swung up a huge hand of more than 10 meters, and shot it head-on towards Long Yu. Along the way, anything that blocked them, like paper paste, was instantly corroded, and even the destination board had already been devastated under the feet, no exception. However, in the face of Magellan's most powerful attack, the fire of the soul in Long Yu's eyes had already burned to the extreme. The voices that came out were like thunder bursting, hitting the depths of the soul. Hopefully, after the fireworks, you are still alive. The super magic sky falls. Dang dang. Like the ringing of a bell, 10 mysterious magic circles bloomed layer by layer above the dragon feathers. The violent magic power that has been released has already reached its peak, and the next moment it is rising rapidly. Before everyone could react, an inexplicable aura of death enveloped the sky and the earth. Magellan and Shiryu of the Rain, who shut out in anger, were also instantly alarmed, and they hurriedly looked up at the sky before they had time to think about it. Boom! Huge beams of light, falling from the sky like comet rays. The venting of endless magical power, with the power of 10,000, it hit the advanced city prison with a slamming gesture like a smashing rot. Bang! The entire sea surface was violently shaken, the huge impact, and even a 12-level tsunami wave, rolled back around. Which was flat on the sea surface, only persisted for half a second, and then it crashed. The second layer, the third layer, and the fourth layer of the sky dome, only after a few breaths, also penetrated instantly. Feeling the breath that is like a god of death, it falls from the sky. Magellan and Shiryu of the Rain didn't have time to think about it, and hurriedly took action to defend. Even the poisonous giants who were attacking were quickly recalled. Boom! A thunderous explosion sounded like a thunderous explosion. The violent air wave impacted the entire fourth-level prison. Who was also under attack, would also suffer damage, but as a great necromancer, these injuries were minimal to him. Looking up at the superposition that is about to be poured out. Magic, the magic circle under Long Yu's feet is together again, and a door is closed in an instant. Secondary portal. It can reach places that can be seen, or have been to places where magic marks are left. Of course, with the increase of fidelity, the distance limit can instantly appear at a distance of 1,000 nautical miles. However, it was the first time that Long Yu came to the world of Hokage, and for the time being, he was only able to reach as far as he could see. Looking at Magellan and the two who were still under the impact of super magic, Long Yu did not stop for a moment, and stepped into the portal. One Piece's first stop, the journey to advance the city prison is over. Om! The door of light disappeared out of thin air. The huge magic beam of light also exhausted the last trace of strength and collapsed between the heavens and the earth, leaving only the ruins of the advanced city prison. As for the other pirates, whether they can successfully escape from prison or not, this is not a concern for Long Yu at all. It was just a pawn for him to step into the world of One Piece. Maybe it's a character template problem, and even Long Yu's temperament has obviously become colder. The fourth scorching hell. The closer you get to the center of the battlefield, the more mess it becomes. Rocks crumbled, cells collapsed, and many prisoners and guards were buried. In the huge deep pit, the two figures were also covered by sand and gravel. Gulu, I'm Warring States, please reply. Magellan, please reply. The voice of the phone bug rang suddenly. A big hand with black gloves turned out from the ruins, and pressed a hand on the phone bug. Magellan's huge body also turned over. With the help of the poisonous giant, after enduring the impact of most of the super magic, Magellan's clothes that were not covered by the domineering of the armed color also became a mess. After looking around quickly, looking up in a hurry, Magellan's pupils shrunk suddenly. The advanced city prison has been penetrated. Magellan, please reply quickly. Has the fifth floor of the riots been suppressed not long ago? Do we need to send troops from the Navy headquarters? The voice of the Warring States sounded again, and there was a hint of urgency between the words. Faced with this questioning, Magellan couldn't help clenching the phone bug in his hand, and then he gritted his teeth and said, Marshal of the Warring States period, it was I who neglected my duty. Not long ago, Uchiha Long Yu, the prisoner of the fifth floor of the extreme cold hell that caused the riot, hid the identity of the devil fruit ability. Propulsion City has fallen. This man planned the prisoner's escape on the 5th floor, and even displayed a powerful attack method. One strike will penetrate the city's large prison. Shiryu of Rain and I let him run away because we underestimated the enemy. At the end, Magellan clenched the golden phone bug in his hand in shame. He knew very well that if it was a single-floor riot, as long as he suppressed it, it would be an internal matter. But at the moment, advancing into the city university prison, and being penetrated by Long-Yu's superposition magic, that is no longer an internal matter. That's completely piercing the sky. Compared with 15 years ago, the legendary big pirate Golden Lion caused more commotion and destruction. What? The shocked voice of the Warring States came out from the phone bug. You pass on everything about Uchiha Ryu to me as soon as possible, and I will ask Kizaru to rush as soon as possible. Meanwhile, you immediately go to the 6th floor of the Infinite Hell to check 1 or 2, absolutely must not let those prisoners escaped, otherwise this sea is afraid that there will be another storm. Chapter 358, Fire. The 6th floor. Magellan's expression suddenly changed drastically. Looking at the huge deep pit in front of him, he didn't have time to think about it. The venom on his body flipped over, quickly covering the deep pit, and at the same time he fell into it. Shiryu, leave the matter here to you, I'll go to the 6th floor to take a look. Abandoning these words, Magellan disappeared completely. As for the one that had just been dug out from the ruins, Shiryu of the Rain, who came out, with a livid face, took a bite of the newly taken cigar, and without stopping, he rushed to the upper floor. The Navy headquarters. In addition to the war, there are 3 generals who are regarded as the most powerful in the Navy, and General Staff Crane in the huge marshal's office. And Garp, who was eating donuts and looked unconcerned, was waiting here. However, when he heard the phone bug and the words coming, his face changed without exception. You have also heard that the advanced city prison was once again lost, and the guy who even Magellan couldn't stop escaped. I don't know if the guys on the 6th floor are involved. Warring States put down the golden phone bug in his hand and rubbed his temples with a headache. Eyes turned abruptly and fell on the other people. I want to know, who of you has an impression of Uchiha Ryu? In the presence of Uchiha Ryu frowned, showing a contemplative expression, as if they were trying their best to search the memory in their minds. But, in the end, everyone's face was confused. Witnessing this scene, the Warring States sighed helplessly and said, I don't know why this guy who suddenly appeared is pushing the Chinda prison. But Uchiha, this strange surname, seems to be only available in Wano country. Do you need to look for some eyeliner? For this secluded kingdom of samurai, the real entry into their eyes is because of the fierce name that Kazuki Oden broke into more than 10 years ago. Not only did he stay on Whitebeard's ship, but even as Roger, the Pirate King, he also personally poached and finally completed the voyage of the Great Channel. These points alone are enough for them to be treated seriously by the Navy headquarters. Let them pay attention a little. Crane, as the General Staff Officer, took the lead and said, however, we can only investigate secretly, otherwise, if we expose our hard-earned eyeliner in Wano for someone who has not yet figured out the origin, it will not be worth the loss. The Crane is right. Karp also rarely spoke, saying, as for the aftermath. Having said that, Garp looked at Kizaru. At present, the advanced city prison has fallen, and by the time they rush past, the people have already run away. However, among the 3 generals, the yellow ape has a shining fruit, and it is known as the world's best in terms of speed. Warring States instantly understood and said, at the moment, our large army has no way to rush to support the first time. You have the shining fruit of the yellow monkey, you can clean up the mess, no matter what. How many people escaped? Try to catch as many as you can, especially the guy on the 6th floor. Once you encounter it, don't give the old man soy sauce. Although in Magellan's report, it is not known whether the first is affected, but it is necessary to take precautions before it happens. Marshal, it's scary to be serious when you're serious. Huang Yuanzui said with a wretched smile. However, don't worry, Huang Yuan still know the importance and set off right away. Leaving these words, the moment the light spot on Kaibashi disintegrated, it turned into a beam of light and rushed directly from the floor-to-ceiling glass window. Bang! The huge glass was smashed, and the debris splashed and scattered all over the floor. An instant, Kizaru had already disappeared in place. Watching this scene of warring states, his cheeks couldn't help twitching. He rubbed his head with a headache and said, "This is the first time this month, and every time I let him perform a task, I have smashed the glass window for Lao Su, and then I just smashed the window. Can't you go through the door?" "Go through the door." Karp took a bite of the donut in his hand and said, "That's not handsome. If I'm as young as him, there's more than that." Listening to Feng Liang's words, warring states suddenly felt that it was too difficult. However, when he thought of Uchiha Ryayu, this mysterious existence still called Wu Laoxing's phone bug. He knew very well that this time, the fall of Chinda prison would definitely not be able to contain the fire, once it spreads in the sea. This mysterious person will enter the eyes of all forces, and at that time, Uchiha Ryayu's reward will become the most important evaluation. In the face of this kind of action, the existence of the sea will be shocked. How much reward is needed? It still needs the highest controller of the world government, and the 5 old stars will evaluate it first. Boom! Pushing out of the city, the super magic sky falls, and the impact of the waves is more than 10 meters high. With a rolling stance, he charged towards the high wall that pushed the city's periphery. Such a grand scene had already alarmed the warships stationed outside the wall. Dozens of battleships were lined up, and the lineup was even bigger than the demon slaughtering order. However, at this moment, everyone's eyes were attracted by the figure of the skeleton giant floating in the air. To survive such a violent attack. Moreover, it is still unfamiliar people, there is only one possibility. The enemy is in front of you. Fire! An awe-inspiring roar was heard from the battleships. The artillery that was originally aligned to the outside world, with the sound of gears, turned to the sky in the direction of the advancing city. Ever since they were stationed outside the advancing city, they never imagined that such a day would come. However, in order to avoid accidentally injuring the colleagues who rushed into the city, they obviously maintained restraint. Looking at this scene, Long Yu couldn't help but have a headache. The superposition magic just now had consumed the magic power of his Bone King template. Advanced City is in the windless zone, and there are only 3 ways to get out of here. First, rely on flying to cross. Second, take a freestyle swim all the way. Third, snatch naval battleships. The first 2 choices were obviously ignored by Long Yu. With the only magic he has now, let alone flying for a long time, even if he really can. But in the world of One Piece, to go from one island to another, the most basic equipment is to record the hour hand. If there is no such thing, I am afraid that it will fly for 10 days, and there will be no way to find a foothold. With Long Yu's current magic power, it is not bad to be able to last for a long time. Moreover, this is under the premise of not having to fight. Once they really fight, I am afraid that within 10 minutes, they will return to a situation where they are helpless. As for swimming in the windless zone, that's something to think about. Mention how far it is. Just in the windless zone, those sea kings who have perverted longer than ordinary sea areas are no longer the masters that can be easily provoked. Right now in front of Long Yu, the only way out is to grab a boat. Chapter 359. Escape. We are not his opponents at all. Ding dang, congratulations to the host for making a fuss about advancing the city prison and getting 00 turbulence points. Is it immediately? Do random unlocks. The ethereal reminder sound of the system sounded like timely rain. Long Yu raised his brows, and immediately showed a hint of joy. This character template looks very good. But it was never as easy as Long Yu's own strength. The only thing that made Long Yu feel unhappy was that he almost raised the city prison to the ground, and only got 200 turbulence points. However, the current situation is that others are stronger, and the only thing Long Yu can do is to do it. Immediately. Randomly unlocked. Ding dang, please wait a moment. The host, the system is using the turbulence value to lift the world's resistance to the host. Ding dang, after deducting 200 turbulence value, the host's current balance is 3 points. Ding dang, congratulations to the host for successfully unlocking the 3-Go Jade Writing Wheel Eye. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for successfully unlocking Medical Ninjutsu. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for successfully unlocking the Lei Dun Chakra mode. A series of system prompts came, and Long Yu was still a little disappointed when he looked at the ordinary 3-hooked Jade Writing Wheel Eye and Medical Ninjutsu. However, when I saw the Lei Dun Chakra mode, I couldn't help laughing. Now Long Yu's physical strength, speed and power are not comparable to those in Naruto world. However, once the Lei Dun Chakra mode is turned on, the combat power of the dragon feather body can at least be improved by several levels. Case the character template's magic power is exhausted, Long Yu can also splicing his own Lei Dun Chakra mode, and he can also deal with it 1 or 2 times. Major General Kuduru, why didn't the skeleton demon make a move? Is he looking down on us? On the leading battleship, an adjutant was the first to lose his breath. In their eyes, being able to escape from the advanced city prison is at least like a golden lion. And in the Navy they are stationed here, the strongest is only a rear admiral. Once the fight is really down, I'm afraid it's a bit of a hangover. HMPH, why are you panicking? Don't forget, we are a Navy that has gone through thousands of trials. Kuduru was about 40 or 50 years old, his skin was slightly dry and black, and he clenched a big sword in his hand. When he saw Long Yu's skeleton-like form, a gleam of light flashed in the depths of his eyes. If he is just an ordinary pirate powerhouse, we may not have a chance of winning, but as long as he is a devil fruit person, the result is another matter. Speaking of this, Kuduru turned his eyes in vain, locked on Long Yu's body, and shouted sharply, "Since he doesn't come down, then we will knock him down. When the time comes, leave everything to me. Fire!" The cold shouts sounded like thunder. Fire! The adjutant behind him gave the order without the slightest hesitation. Dozens of cannonball tracks, locked on Long Yu's body instantly, detonated. Bang bang bang. The sky-filled gunpowder lead bullets pierced through the sky, and the awe-inspiring sound of breaking through the air directly pulled Long Yu's thoughts back. In the face of the crushing attack, the soul flame in the depths of Long Yu's eyes suddenly condensed. A huge magic circle bloomed under my feet. A pitch-black vortex door of light appeared out of thin air, and immediately stepped forward in front of everyone's eyes. Boom! As soon as the hind foot stepped on the door of light, dozens of flame-lead bullets slammed together in an instant. The next moment, without any fancy, it exploded like thunder. When the violent flames surged into the sky, a huge shock wave was formed, and it rolled back around. The violent scene changed the expression of Kuduru, who was leading the attack, and before he could react, the exclamation from behind instantly tightened his nerves. "Major General Kuduru, he's behind you." The expression of the high-speed moving Kuduru suddenly changed, and the domineering detonation quickly detonated and spread around. Standing 3 or 4 meters behind, the huge figure outside was directly locked by his domineering look. However, in the face of this sudden enemy, Kuduru not only did not get angry, but a trace of ecstasy flashed in the depths of his eyes. Without any bells and whistles, he poked his right hand into his sleeve, and the next moment his 5 fingers clenched into fists. Turned around like a spiral, and appeared in front of Long Yu first. The cold light of the right fist flowed down, bringing a stern sound of breaking the air, and smashed it towards Long Yu's chest. "You bastard, I don't care what your origins are or what means you have, but don't underestimate our Navy, the devil fruit capable people in the area. I can knock you down with one punch from Kuduru." The awe-inspiring voice reverberated in the sky in all directions as if filled with magical sounds, and it did not dissipate for a long time. The violent scene made the expressions of the naval soldiers stationed around suddenly change. When he saw clearly the fist guard in Kadaru's hand, his face showed ecstasy. As a navy, their strength may not be outstanding. But I know clearly that, as a devil fruit person, the most feared thing, in addition to sea water, is the sea floor stone. In order to deal with it, the pirates with devil fruit ability will sometimes be equipped with some sea stone weapons. For example, Smoker's 10 hands, Zephyr's Halo stone machine gun, etc. Right now, the fist in Kadaru's hand is obviously the nemesis of the devil fruit person, the sea stone weapon. Bang! A thunderous crashing sound resounded suddenly. Kadaruna, who was wearing Halushi's fist, smashed Long Yu's ferocious rib on his chest with a stern sound of breaking through the air. However, the tower-like, motionless posture and the usual face made the smiles on the faces of all the Navy soldiers and even Kadaru stiff. Hee, if this is your trump card, I'm sorry. Long Yu sneered and said, it's not that I'm looking down on you, it's you who look down on you, the supreme being of the great Naxalasa necropolis, Ains Ergong. Second level magic electric dragon. The crackling electric light emerged on Long Yu's shoulders. The power of the second level magic was not very great, but it was not difficult to knock down an enemy and paralyze an enemy at the same time. A short distance, at the moment when the thunder and lightning splash, there is no way to hide. When Kadaru reacted, he was instantly swallowed by lightning. Boom! The sound of thunder bursting suddenly echoed. Kadaru was knocked out, turned over and landed on the sea. Looking at the confident Major General, he was instantly knocked into the air, and the faces of the Navy soldiers present turned ashen. Escape, we are not his opponents at all. I don't know who exclaimed. The Navy soldier, whose muscles were all tense, jumped into the sea without any warning. Looking at this decisive and brave gesture, Long Yu reluctantly touched the tip of his nose. This step on the horse is to use courage in the wrong place. Chapter 360, try to see how strong the general can be. Advance to City Grand Prison, but it is located in the windless zone. At the same time, in order to strengthen the natural defense belt of the advancing city, a lot of sea kings were deliberately gathered. This jump, I am afraid it is a 9-death life. However, the biggest problem that is bothering Long Yu now is that there is no one on the boat, let's not say whether there is. Record the hour hand, I am afraid that Long Yu will not even know how to drive the boat and the magic power of the Bone King is exhausted. Feather returned to its original form. Whoosh! The awe-inspiring sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded. The golden light, like a horse, traversed and arrived in a posture like tearing the world. The speed was so fast that it was a sight to behold, and an unexpected figure appeared on the mast of the battleship. The sudden scene made the Navy soldiers in the distance froze at first, and then exclaimed in exclamation the next moment. It's General Yellow Monkey, he's finally here. As the 3 most important gateways of the world government, they are all located in the windless zone. In order to be able to deal with emergencies, the distance between the 3 is not very far. At the speed of the golden monkey flashing fruit, it is only a matter of 7 or 8 minutes. Are you the main culprit who destroyed the advanced city prison, Uchiha Ryu? Kizaru was wearing a white gold-striped suit, a justice cloak, brown glasses, squinting triangular eyes, looking up and down. Long Yu. However, it seems that you are a little distressed, you can't even drive a boat, right? If that's the case, why didn't we just take a step back, go back to the prison obediently, you don't have to drive the boat, and I don't need to waste time shooting, this is the best of both worlds. At the time of his arrival, Kizaru had already received information from the warring states through the telephone bug about the destruction of the main prisoner of the advanced city prison. However, in information, there is only one useful thing. The young man in front of him is suspected to be an animal-type phantom beast, a fruit-capable person in the form of a human fruit skeleton. It has the means of summoning strange creatures and launching super-strong beams of light. However, all this is for the yellow ape. Just knocking him down in an instant is enough. Best of both worlds. Long Yu looked at it. In this legend, the salary is in place, the soy sauce king that the 4 emperors can choose, smiled and said, "This should be your wishful thinking. Although, I can't drive a boat, but someone will always be a boatman for me." Speaking of this, Long Yu's eyes suddenly condensed, and when the scarlet blood filled the tide like a tide, the 3-hooked jade writing wheel eyes quickly emerged, and finally looked at the sea below. "Shiryu, aren't you cold? I just need a boatman. I'll take care of this guy." Haliu advances the former guard of the city university prison, Shiryu of the Long Reign. The smile on Huang Yuan's face couldn't help but linger, and he hurriedly followed Long Yu's line of sight. Soon I saw bubbles in the water, a wet figure burst out of the water, and finally turned over and landed on the deck. Just that Shiryu's gloomy cheeks. When looking at Long Yu, there was a little more surprise. Originally, he planned to hide at the bottom of the battleship and escape from the prison first. I never thought that it would be easily seen through by Long Yu. "Can you stop him?" Yu suddenly opened his mouth, causing Kizaru's face to turn gloomy. Surprised by Shiryu's release. Instead of staying in the pushing city university prison and seeing the sun for a lifetime, it is better to give it a go and try to escape from this ghost place. "You can try it." Met Kizaru's gaze, and said, "I also want to know how strong the general can be." The sudden cooperation surprised Kizaru. However, his expression quickly returned to normal. He curled his lips, and said slyly, "No wonder the advanced city will be broken. It turns out that there is still Shiryu to help, although I don't know how you can do it, but the thing I am in charge of is to take you all out." "Take it back. I have to say, you are young and courageous. But, I want to ask you, have you tried getting kicked by the light?" The yellow monkey standing on the mast, with a playful smile on his face, disappeared like a ghost in the next moment, out of thin air. Again, countless golden lights condensed on Long Yu's side, and his right foot made an awe-inspiring sound of breaking through the air, kicking straight towards Long Yu's head. So fast. Shiryu's expression changed, and he suddenly clenched the thunderstorm in his hand. He agreed to cooperate with Long Yu, but that was just verbal trust. In the face of General Kizaru's personal shot, he did not dare to underestimate the enemy in the slightest. In case the boy in front of him, after disabling the Devil Fruit ability, just bluffed and was defeated by Kyabu face to face. Then he didn't mind, and in an instant, he killed both of them at the same time. PFF'd. The endless golden light gathered, and as soon as Kizaru appeared, the awe-inspiring sonic boom from his right foot was simply incessant. The speed is so fast that it makes people feel that in the blink of an eye, the attack has already landed in front of Long Yu. However, in the face of this violent blow, the worn smile on Long Yu's face became even brighter. In the outside world, the attack that seemed to be as fast as a thunderbolt was reflected on the 3-column jade writing wheel, but it was slowed down several times. Feeling the rushing wind, the crackling thunder arc sounded on Long Yu's body suddenly. Thunderbolt Chakra Mode. The thunder light was like a tide, and at the moment of skyrocketing, Long Yu, like a ghost, preemptively disappeared in place. The speed is so fast that it is no slower than the attack of the yellow monkey. Regardless of was the surrounding navy soldiers, or Shiryu of the rain, even Kizaru's pupils shrank suddenly. It was too late to take back the attack of the right leg that the force split out. However, before he could react, an unexpected and playful voice fell in their ears. "I said Kyabu, have you ever tried to be struck by lightning?" Lightning strike, but just now he was relying on the unparalleled speed of the glitter fruit, intending to hit the dragon feather heavily or knock it flying, in order to cut his sharpness. So, I didn't think of it at all, to turn on the domineering. Right now, Long Yu is using it, and it is not inferior to him at all, and it is even more like a thunder. This undoubtedly made Kizaru's nerves tense to the extreme. And he have time to think about it. I quickly pushed the domineering look to the extreme, and instantly captured the location of Long Yu. However, before Kizaru could react, at the moment when Long Yu's pair of 3-hooked jade writing wheel eyes turned frantically, the thunderlight all over his body poured into his right hand like a raging wave. Without any bells and whistles, the 5 fingers suddenly merged, and the instant they turned into hand knives, they slashed down towards the Kiraru below. Lei Dunlei abuses thousands of advections. PFF'd. Attacked together, as fast as lightning. Hand knife slashed down suddenly, and the speed was so fast that even the air couldn't react, and it was torn out like a wave in ripples. It's so close at hand that it's impossible to hide. The violent scene made Kasaragi's pupils shrunk, but as a natural devil fruit person, he still had the means of pressing the bottom of the box.